Are you tired of explaining your unwavering support for guns amid constant mass shootings? Having a hard time selling people on slashing Social Security and Medicare? How's a good Republican supposed to explain all this stuff? Guess what? You don't have to, because you've got anti-woke everything. Skip that uncomfortable policy junk and stick to the culture wars. Look, a gay M&M. See how easy it is? All you need are a few unrelated issues and plenty of outrage, and you're on your way to anti-woke everything. Of course, you could try to explain how Republicans helped add $5 trillion to the debt when they gave rich people a huge tax cut. Or you could tell people Joe Biden is coming to take away their gas stoves. Congratulations, you're now an anti-woke cooking crusader. Anti-woke everything works great for toilets, light bulbs, bathrooms, fashion, fictional characters, books, and of course, plain old speech. Why talk about your unpopular policies when you can be outraged about candy, cooking, and cartoon characters? Anti-woke everything. Let the culture wars work for you.
Kind of like the journey that we choose as fans. You know, everything's just not always going to be great, and when it's great, you got to celebrate the hell out of it. But when it's not, you just move on to some other shit. It's like the easiest thing in the world.
You know, I could talk about why I don't like anti-fandom, but I'd rather talk about why I like the term anti-fandom, because I think it's a really good term. Anti-fandom, this movement, isn't about fandom or the media. It's about power, it's about brotherhood and ganging up. It's about feeling like you know some big secret, like you're the little guy taking on the big, shadowy, leftist, woke powers. At the end of the day, it's make-believe, it's playing pretend for adults, or, you know, man-children. Despite what any of them say, it isn't about fandom. It's contrary to the definition of fandom, which is basically liking things together as a community. The end result of all this is just a vortex of hate and misery, and it's all revolving around this missing center where the media or the community or the liking should be, and it just isn't.
Oh, she's it's the Sunny and Dre. Oh my God.
Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it.
Other people besides white dudes like Star Wars. I'm just saying, we need to be conscious of our bias.
I talked about this one thing and we make a whole video out of it. That's what we do.
Weird.
You are the real superhero.
Well, I'm built like a goddamn brick.
Is he some sort of masochist?
Yeah, what is the most recent Japanese film, or at least entertainment, that you enjoyed so far?
What am I thinking of? See, a lot of them would be older ones, like Old Boy, for example. I really enjoyed that one. I know it's not Japanese, but yeah, probably stuff like that. You know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I really like that. And it's like Chinese, I think. But yeah, like it's.
How do you do, fellow kids?
For goodness sake!
Yeah, some characters have been written decently that are of different races and have suited up in the suit of a hero or a version of that hero. One of the more obvious is Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Miles Morales has his own background. This is far better than just simply making Peter Parker a black guy.
Talking about Peter Darker.
But Miles is an exception, make no mistake. I define everybody that's not Peter Parker as an unoriginal Peter Parker. And it will always be preferable to have another character with his own unique skill set, unique art.
In your face, bitch!
It's just shocking.
And the same goes with Miles Morales. He is indeed, again, Miles Morales. He's also a Spider-Man.
I really dislike the fake geek thing and the poser nerd thing. That's not what we're about.
Like, I don't get offended by shit. Every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can
Jeremy has disavowed the Phantom Menace, but he's still in the same circle of people. They're still all on Friday Night Tights together. He's still saying the same stuff. So what is really the practical purpose of disavowing the Phantom Menace if like nothing is actually changing about what he's doing?
Oh, the reason that he gives is that apparently he saw too much like extremism within like the Phantom Menace among like things that fans were saying, and he didn't want to be like held responsible for any of that. He said, I'll be responsible for geeks and gamers, but not that.
If I was part of something that I was like suddenly like, wow, this is getting kind of more hostile and harmful than I really care for, rather than just go, I don't claim this label anymore, I would completely disconnect from the people that are associated with that label, because otherwise it would just seem kind of hollow.
The Fandom Initiative is a group of people on a mission to counter anti-woke sentiment on YouTube.
Surprise, fuckers.
We are passionate fans of film, TV, comics, and video games. We'd love to make YouTube videos about the things we enjoy, but the culture of YouTube fandom makes this impossible, thanks to certain networks and clusters of content creators who depend on outrage, deception, and harassment to drive clicks and bring in revenue. The YouTube algorithm pushes harmful content to fans who are at risk of indoctrination by consuming repetitive right-wing rage bait videos.
Damn, dude. Yes.
Spot on. Some people would like to think that like you can be like 100% objective when watching something, like remove your bias and just critique it like the truth. You can't.
So like, what is fucking bringing all these guys together other than like, I'm mad at fucking Brie Larson?
What? If I can't be a misogynist to you, I don't know what to do with you.
I oftentimes get called a shit.
Fuck it, man. Don't be worried about that shit.
But here's the thing. My picture is not on the wall in the lobby of Marvel Studios.
More and more people are fed up with that toxic content and culture.
Honestly, it makes us sound really cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa! What's that? Oh, that's a shit. Why don't you go and subscribe to it? I dare you. I fucking dare you.
Got it. Get it. Got it. Good.
I said, man, I don't know what I do, but I just know how to do what I'm doing, but I don't know what the F I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing.
That's it right there. That's the quote.
That's the truth. That's all there is, man.
That's it. That's the secret of life right there, man. It's a little movie perp, as we all know, in that clip.
Yeah.
Giving us the wisdom of life there.
I mean,
good
only
afternoon.
someone as wise as that can make Transformers. That's what I say.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's somebody that's so wise. He looks out on the world, the landscape of filmmaking, and goes, yeah. There's a lot of really highbrow, like intelligent, like culturally relevant, boring shit out here. But the thing is, it doesn't have as fucking incomprehensibly complex visual effects of robots transforming mid-fight where you can't even tell what robot is what, and it doesn't have as many explosions as you fucking really need. And he solved that. He's somebody who saw a problem, a lack in the world, and he went out and he be the change that you want to see in the world is a point.
Exactly. I mean, Shawshank Redemption had too little explosions.
Did it even have one? I don't even know.
think so. Yeah, no.
Oh my god!
Like, I
I
mean, that
thought that
movie
movie.
literally has the main character crawling through shit. I mean, if that's not a metaphor for the movie, like, I don't know what is.
I mean, like, that used to be literally one of my favorite movies, but now that I realize there's not a single explosion, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to reevaluate.
Same.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, Artie, that sucks, dude. Sorry, man. Hope you recover quickly from that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've gotten all of your jabs, your freedom jabs and everything.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, brother.
But yeah, welcome. This is this show. Today it's just gonna be Turf and I believe, unless DJ is able to become free from his prior obligations.
Yeah.
Who knows? He's kind of he's a mystery like that. He just breezes in, breezes out. You never know. And we love him for it.
It's January, people got things to do.
True.
A lot of people don't have, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I don't have a lot of money left over after December, so it's a busy month. Just trying to get
Things
back
are
to normal and shit.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, what the fuck is normal?
True.
I guess
And
just
is
like
normal even good?
I guess like just the fewest surprises possible is what most people are kind of trying to get to when they say get to normal, right? Like
True.
just you kind of a routine, where things are going more or less how you expect and so on and so forth.
Yes.
I don't know. That's how I think of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you on the other hand, Turf,
Oh.
here's something about you that a lot of people
Oh
don't know.
no. Oh no.
Okay, you the big bad booty daddy.
That's true.
I don't know if you
That what is that clip? Is that about? Please tell me that's about Bob. That would be amazing.
No, that's actually about Ethan Van Sciver,
Oh.
which if I don't know if you saw, because we're deceptive bastards, so I changed the name of the stream on your channel and on mine to be different things.
Oh no.
So yours is about Pow World because you want to talk about Pow World.
I said it was like a tiny topic. Okay, but yeah, sorry.
No, you said I want to talk about nothing but fucking Pow World, man. Like,
Oh yeah. You're like,
nothing
oh,
but
let's talk
Pow World.
about some like oh, there's this whole thing with Ethan Van Sciver happening, and there's like all this other. I'm like, fuck you. I want to talk about Pal World.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, well, man, there's this whole Comicsgate Civil War, and you're like, I don't fucking care. Dane, I don't. Is that your fucking real name? No.
Yeah.
And I was
Screw
like, yes, it
you.
is. And you're like, no, it's not anymore. You're changing it because I'm telling you.
Nuh-uh.
And I was like, Jesus, dude. So Jacob says Power World's fun. It's I'll be honest, I kind of want to check it out just based on the premise being kind of
the game is sold, I think, as of today, after the first 5 days, it's sold 7 million copies.
And that's a lot for video games, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is, especially for a game that like no one was really anticipating. It's from a smaller studio, It's come quite out of nowhere, and it's sold really well. Wait, like how much? Just keep talking. I'm just searching something.
Yeah, but there's been no controversy around it though, right?
No, not at all.
Okay. That's good. Well, I wanted to respond to a couple of comments from before the stream here. What happened to calling it a Chugpocalypse? Well, so I assume you're referring to the title of the stream on my channel as it being a Comicsgate Civil War. Well, because look, we can have an apocalypse and a civil war happen amidst that apocalypse. So think of it that way, right? Like an apocalypse is an ongoing thing. A lot of people think of it as just a moment in time or something. It was like, and then it's over. No, apocalypse can go on for a while. And a Chudpocalypse, well, who knows? But yeah, Chudpocalypse is currently ongoing. And then also there is this civil war of Comicsgate. And what I mean by that is you got the Rippaverse folks versus the Comicsgate folks. And really, the Rippaverse thing is just Comicsgate. It's just Comicsgate. Like that's part of the thing, I think, is that he was clever enough, Eric July, to disconnect from the branding of Comicsgate, because most people that are aware of it kind of know what it is. You know what I mean? And like, you either know what it is and you're cool with it and you're part of it, or you know what it is and you know it's a fucking hate group. And so Eric July, smart enough to go, I'm going to take this audience that I've is definitely Comicsgate, and I've been profiting from and exploiting and pulling from that pool, and I'm gonna rename my shit. I'm gonna name my shit Rippaverse, and it'll and then I don't have to share with anybody. He's a libertarian. Anyway, and that's part of it, I think. That's just my opinion. Anyways.
Hell yeah. So I just searched up just to get like a frame of reference. So Pal World has sold 7 million copies in just over 5 days. And I looked up Spider-Man 2, which came out last year, which is like one of the biggest releases of the year. That game sold 5 million copies in 10 days. And if we compare that to God of War Ragnarok, which is like, I'm pretty sure the fastest selling like Sony PlayStation exclusive title ever, that was 5 million in 5 days. So like this is incredible, and of course there's sort of like these are PlayStation exclusives, and Pal World is on PC and Xbox, and like there's more people, and it's also like half the price, but still like this is almost unheard of. It is now, I think, the third, like in terms of peak concurrent players at one time, it is the third highest on Steam history.
Jesus,
which is insane. And it's just come out of fucking nowhere. And
wow.
like to anyone who doesn't know what Pal World is, like someone has just already said it.
Is there like a good trailer or something? I'll find something, I suppose. But
yeah, let me just.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I'll first just show some stuff.
Okay.
The whole premise is Pokemon with guns, and like this stuff. So it's basically a survival game. If anyone knows like Ark, like the Ark series, where it's like you're in this big world, there's all these different pals walking around, and you basically you can fight them, you can capture them, you can shoot them with guns, you can like make them, as in Pokemon, you can make them your slaves basically, and you can make them help build your base. There's like some that have fire and they're good at like keeping the forges going. There is some that are like good at fucking chopping wood or like mining and stuff.
You sound very excited about this game, and I'd like for you to now read Morgan's comment, because Morgan is a trusted source on these types of things. And
it's an acid flip and stolen fan art simulator of Pokemon with sweatshops. So that is why I've been looking. There's been a big discussion recently, a little bit of controversy, if you may say.
That sweatshops is a little bit of controversy, yeah. I didn't know anything about sweatshops. That's crazy.
I don't actually know if there's anything behind it. That would be interesting because I haven't heard that. I don't know if it's like referring to the fact that like the Pokemon or like the pals are your sweatshop, because that's like you just put them to work. I don't know if there's something deeper under there. But the main controversy has been that it's been it's been compared to Pokemon. Wait, there was a good thing I found here. Oh yeah, so this one, it's just a lot of people looking at, so these ones to the right of all the, or some of the, like this one is a Pokemon, this one is from the new game, this one is a Pokemon, this is a Pal, same here. And there's a lot of these examples, and it's like pretty
well, like that, I mean, just that yellow thing is obviously meant to invoke fucking Pikachu, clearly. Like it's just no.
Yeah. And exactly. And there's like there's a lot of examples like this, and there's a lot of discussion about like whether Nintendo is going to sue, and I definitely think they're trying to. Like they're trying to make some kind of lawsuit against them. The only question is like where does the line go between inspiration?
Right.
You know? Like
well, I mean, yeah. If you look to the comic book industry, for example, there's like a lot of characters that are very. I mean, like it's not even a secret that some characters are like direct ripoffs, but like they don't tend to sue each other. I guess it's like. It's kind of weird, but like outside of comic books, I know that people can be a little bit more sue happy over these things. So
exactly, yeah. But so, and then people have been putting this whole thing out where it's like, oh, did Pokemon take some of their original designs from Dragon Quest, which came before? And like some of these are a bit more ambiguous, but like some of these are pretty similar, especially in terms of like color scheme and like the Subats and the bats and stuff, and like this thing and you know, and it's like. So there's a big question. Is like where does the line go between like inspiration and just like ripping off, and like the whole concept is very different with like this is, you know, the similar concept but just like with guns.
It's kind of like it just kind of activates that impulse that probably longtime Pokemon fans who are older now and into like more violent games, like they're like, oh shit, now I can merge these two things. And
exactly. And I've also seen a lot of people like who are Pokemon fans and Nintendo fans who like Nintendo makes good games. Like if you've been looking at recent like Zelda games and Mario games, those have been very high quality. but Pokemon games have just been decreasing in quality consistently. They also come out way too frequently, and they're broken. Like the last one was really broken at launch, like just really buggy and stuff. But they sell really well. But so some people have been saying like, oh, this is the game that the fans of Pokemon have been wanting, and that freaks like Game Freak out and Nintendo out. Because like this, like, you know, something with like more thought put into than just like the every year a new game coming out.
So to disrupt the status quo kind of thing, and yeah,
Exactly.
the big wigs always get a little upset when their status
Yeah.
quo is disrupted.
And there's been a little like discussion about like whether this is like Power World is based on AI due to some comments the like director, I think, of it had beforehand, but there's no solid evidence yet. So like until that is the case, then we don't know whether or not that's the case. Or there might be evidence, but there's nothing like really solid yet. There is already, however, a mod. Someone made a mod that is actually Pokemon, so it's like Ash and fucking Pikachu's just like this mining away, slaving away. This one is probably going to get taken down by Game Freak, but Pal Worlds have said they have nothing to do with this. So, but I just thought this was interesting because it's been blowing up, especially in like the gaming world.
Yeah, that's a good point. Morgan is like it seems like this was a bit of this is memed to the status it's at, right? Like so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just checking out like what is this? You know, because suddenly it's just getting so much popularity, and people are like, what the fuck? I want to get on this, right?
It depends. I guess it depends on how good the game actually is, whether or not it's going to see any staying power, right?
And especially like how. Because this is still an alpha build. This is not like the official full release. It's like a pre-alpha or not pre-alpha. It's like a alpha or beta, one of them. So I think it really depends on what the studio now does with all this money and like how well they keep adding updates and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it's like yeah, like we don't know how much staying power this has, but it's definitely taken the world by or the gaming world by storm, and it's like the biggest thing, and it's just like I thought it'd be cool to mention.
I mean, yeah, as people are pointing out, Nintendo is infamously litigious over copyright stuff. So like, yeah, it'd be pretty surprising if they didn't do something.
There's no doubt in my mind that they like their lawyers are working hard at trying to find something. Whether they like will find something that's big enough that they can like do it and win a lawsuit, I don't know. But
I mean, so like
definitely trying.
The fact that everybody is calling it, you know, Pokemon with guns and like these all these comparisons that exist, it almost like proves the point.
Yeah.
And the question I guess would be whether or not like you know, of course, I'm not look, I'm an expert in bird law. Okay, I don't know anything else. There's no bird law, but I know there's some bird type creatures in Pokemon. So that I think I can safely say confidently, certainly that who the fuck knows? Yeah, who knows what's going to happen? So there's my legal opinion. So Luca asked a very specific question. Have you guys seen EFAP number 253? The problem with overcriticism. Shady Durags was guest in that episode. No, that's one of the ones that I've missed. Unfortunately, I'm, you know, I try to watch every one of the EFAP episodes and like all the way through to start to finish. I'm definitely one of those FAP heads that what they call us. You know, no, nobody's seen that.
You know, I just realized I've only watched 252 episodes of EFAP. That's my fault.
Well, that's why I tell you you're not a real fan. You know. You're fake fan. And then one more thing that somebody had said up top here. Rob had said, referring to the Comicsgate Civil War. No, this does help people. It really does. It is all stupid because the existence of these groups are stupid. The claims that they make are stupid. But the fact that they exist is like, okay, we have to accept that with that in mind. Them being at each other's throats, them tearing each other apart in, you know, amongst a dwindling pool of pay pigs that they have monetized and exploited for years. That helps, you know, actual comic book fans and actual, you know, comics, because if they're focused on each other, they're not focused on, you know, as much on bullshit, lying about other things and you know, harassing creators and so on and so forth. And you know, it's a sign of an ongoing sign of the times, which is that this stuff has lost a lot of prominence. Like as far whether you're talking about Fandom Menace, Comicsgate, whatever. You know, it's just every single metric you can possibly look at shows that they're not they've lost relevance. And that's why we, you know, as I kind of kill time to get to the thing, that's why we call it the
Hell yeah.
never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Yep, good point. Good point. You know what's funny about that, man, is like oh shit. You guys got some weird is that another language or is that spam? I don't know. What's funny is that we did a discussion last year on the Fapcast. It was me and Morgan and Perp and Nothing But Media Ryan. We talked about Mary Sue, and that discussion, the bulk of it anyway, is up on the channel. I would suggest watching it. It's a pretty good discussion, I think. The concept of Mary Sue and whatnot, and whenever I uploaded it, I said, you know, it'd be funny because we did talk about EFAP a little bit in there. I'm gonna, you know, do the branding of this thumbnail, and basically like I ripped off the design of the EFAP logo for their streams, and I made it say Fapcast with, but you know, our colors and stuff. And I had people, you know, talking about in the freaking comments, you know, EFAP fans that are like, oh yeah, you just ripped off their name, Fapcast. It's obviously a ripoff of EFAP, and it's like literally not. It's like the only time we've ever talked about them like at all, and after I don't know 50, 40, 50, 60 something episodes or something, and besides the fact that the only reason I call it Fapcast is it's purely accident. The Forced Adversity was the name of my channel prior to what it is now. And I stuck it in my back pocket and said, you know what, I'm going to do something with that eventually. And then whenever I decided to do this podcast, which is about people forcing adversity to things that really doesn't need it, it wasn't until after I'd already decided we're going to call it Forced Adversity Podcast that I go, oh wait, Fapcast. So like it literally had nothing to do with EFAP, the you know, logic that got it to that, and yet people just they wouldn't believe me because they're EFAP fans and they don't listen to reason.
Or is that what you pretend?
What?
Gotcha.
What?
Yeah, you're pretending.
I was pretending.
Yeah.
What was I pretending?
You really do believe, or you did just take it just because it's of EFAP. We all know.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, I definitely want to be associated with EFAP for sure.
Yeah,
that's just.
I mean, they're so cool, right?
In those fans' defense, I kind of understand where they're coming from, because there are a lot of channels that are like small little channels that are clearly like, you know, big EFAP fans, and they do launch channels that are like, there's one that's covered a video of mine. They're called Ecum, as an ECUM. I don't know what it stands for, but it's Ecum, you know.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot of those. Anyways. Then there were those guys that early on in the channel I kind of fucked their stream up, but they were called PAFE, so it was just EFAP, but like letters mixed around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, damn, this is just like the same structure.
Yes, this. Yo, you want to throw? Well, I guess we shouldn't promote them, right? But
no. It's just damn.
Yep. Ecum, exactly like that, already.
I also remember back in the day with like, I don't know if he still makes video, Anomaly Inc., the guy I like originally had beef with. He always had like a stream where he did the same exact kind. He was a big fan of EFAP.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's a monetizable, easily copied format, then why the fuck not if you don't have any originality in your body?
Yeah, I mean, it's also like about making a lot of money.
But you know, it's basically just a ripoff. So speaking of ripoff, here is a video from the ripoff verse. It's pretty good.
Wow, hello there. So I remember the first called me on the phone and asked, you know, Mr. McGregor, would you like to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again? I said, yes, of course. He wouldn't. We haven't been in anything in such a long time. Well, not anything good. Anyway,
It was then I realized there was something more important that needed addressing. The children. There are millions of children all over the world who are suffering.
Children, just like my daughter. Now she loves comic books as millions of children do. One day I decided to look inside one of these comic books, and it was to my absolute horror. It was full of fantastic artwork and incredible writing.
So you're telling me people are buying these comics? In good faith, may I add. And when they open them up, there's incredible artwork and storytelling inside. You see, that to me is criminal.
I've been a professional comic book artist for the past 30 years. Got a huge amount of skill and a huge amount of experience, okay? But none of that don't mean shit.
Yes, that's correct. As of today, there are millions of children all over the world spending their hard-earned money in hope, real hope, that we're getting something that they want. But alas, instead, they're getting something that just isn't important. But do you know what is important?
Shipping. That's right, shipping. Shipping and delivery is the most important #1 thing anyone should wish for when paying for a comic. Nobody wants your silly Billy great artwork or your fancy schmlancy writing. You can throw all of that
Is
in
this
the
AI
garbage.
or is it
And good
impressions?
riddance. We need to make a change. We need...
I kind of feel like some of these are AI. I think that
Yeah.
you know, there's definitely a guy that's probably doing one or some of the voices, but
Yeah, because it sounded like they could have been impressions.
shipping.
But there is hope.
There is a solution.
And you can help.
Okay.
If you donate just $99
Okay.
a month, you too can help the suffering children everywhere. This will pay for millions and millions of poor comic book fans to receive one of our dedicated care packages. Our care packages are made up of pages and pages of free, tacky-looking 3D models from SketchUp that anyone can just drag off the internet, all lazily repositioned onto a page and poorly traced over.
Oh
You
my
get
God.
a completely generic and forgettable spandex man. Put in
is
the
it like cutting out for you guys too? Like
That's okay for me.
Okay.
Put in the most goofiest and hilariously ridiculous poses on each panel, all hastily ham-fisted into a story that's childishly vague, makes no sense at all, and put together by an actual retard who has no creative ability whatsoever. And all of this for a fraudulent $35.
Not condoning the use of that word. So I mean, you know, there's I've said before, critical praise for this this channel, the Ripoff Verse, because apparently it is run by a conservative who just hates grift, which apparently that's the thing. You know, so like there was one video that he did that was making fun of Eric July and stuff, and there was very kind of cringe homophobic shit happening for a minute that I was just like, wait, it kind of threw me for a loop because I wasn't expecting that at all. And then there's, you know, stuff like that where he just straight up calls him a arsehole. Unnecessary, but
So let's forget about artistic talent and fantastic writing.
Let's keep exhausting the bank accounts of a small demographic of loyal pay pigs over and over again.
yeah. So this is exactly right. Their motives are questionable. I mean, I'm not sure what the motives are, but that's why I'm always sure that if we do watch anything, that I'm going to criticize the stuff that's, you know, should be criticized, and make sure that everybody knows that this doesn't mean just because they make funny stuff against people that suck doesn't mean that they're like, you know, somebody that we should like pal around with or whatever.
Yeah, especially if they're saying like dumb shit to get there, you know.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
you know, it's like, and I'm not saying this channel's been that, but it's like even though like Eric July is like a lot of things, right? But like if we watched a video where someone was calling them out for a lot of things, but then also being racist towards them, right? Like that's not okay.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
like there's definitely some stuff where so you know, I'm not saying that like I don't know what Dick Masterson's all about really, but like apparently he's a conservative, I guess. I hadn't seen much from him. Of course, I didn't dig into him either, but like all I could tell is just seemed like, you know, edgy dude. Anyway, but like if you go look at some of his posts or, you know, stuff that he's retweeted or whatever from Eric July or Ripaverse, whatever, there's almost inevitably going to be some comments if you go down far enough
Yeah.
that are just like going at Eric July, but from the, the one angle that really just like, what the fuck are you doing, you fucking gross piece of shit?
Yeah.
And that's not okay. It's not good. And so yeah, just kind of be cautious of those things is all.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like, especially if there's like, I don't know much about it, but like if there's like some kind of like conflict between Eric July and Ethan Van Sciver, right? It's like Ethan Van Sciver's audience. I think a lot of them are racist, and they're going to use a lot of that against Eric July, even though there's plenty of things that you can and should criticize about Eric July. You know,
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
it shouldn't come from like a position of racism or anything.
well, but I mean that the thing is that those people, their priority is being racist. Like that's their so like everything else is secondary. The racism is the way that they frame everything. So like, oh, he's a grifter because of, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, it's like, okay, but what about all the black people that aren't grifters? Well, they, of course, they don't think that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's just So it's quite weird seeing people with kind of like bad morals talking about like grifting. You know, it's kind of like,
well,
it's
so
like correct to like call out someone out for grifting, but like, yeah.
In the case of like Dick and Vito, I think I do think there was some intentional choice between those two guys to start doing that at a certain point, because of the fact that Vito has a comic book that he was funding and stuff, and basically, we interviewed, like me and Bob interviewed Vito, and his comic bio, the way he described it and what I've seen seems like it might actually be decent. I'm not going to promote it, but I mean, at least seems like he's coming at it from a perspective of, I just want to make a comic book, not that I want to make a comic book against the SJWs or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, like, it seems like they kind of went, well, we can do what Comicsgate does, and we can find a worthy target in their eyes, which is, I suppose, this Rippaverse, and start a bunch of shit with them, which gets some attention, and there you go. That is the move, the Comicsgate move.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I did not know that.
Oh, damn.
So Rattle, you've repeated this comment a couple of times now, and I mean, I don't know how to answer the question because I don't know that they're not calling it that.
Yeah. But
anyway,
are you a fan of, or like have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, of course. So, like, I'm a big M. Night Shyamalan fan, so really his best work.
So you're not talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, you're just talking about The Last Airbender, the best movie of all time that was made by M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you talking about the fucking stupid cartoons that they did to rip off the movie?
Sorry.
All right. Well, we can talk about that, I guess.
Yeah. No,
I haven't seen it.
Oh damn! All right. Well, it's a really good show, and the live action is coming out in like the end of February, which is cool. But I'd recommend watching the like animated one if you do watch something. But I also know you're not like, you don't vibe much with animated stuff, so maybe the live action will be hopefully a really good, faithful adaptation.
When does that come out?
End of February, I think. Like,
and what's that on? Netflix?
Oh, what the fuck is it on? Is it Netflix?
I'm cautious of watching new things on Netflix. They burned me a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So I'll usually wait until
it's Netflix. It's Netflix.
I usually wait until it's done with the season, and then they've announced that there's going to be a second season before I'm like, okay, I will fucking give it a shot now. I get really pissed off whenever but yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I think I will, because the concept of, and what's funny is I actually have seen the movie from one time I was donating plasma, and so it was like an hour and a half, 2-hour visit, and you're just sitting there.
Nice.
And they had it on there, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually gonna have to watch this, aren't I? And the sound was off, and it looked pretty dumb, but there was concepts in there that I can recognize could be done in a cool way. And I know lots of people that like good things that I like the cartoon. So
yeah.
Anyway, So I
What
put
else
up a
we got?
video last night. I think it's pissing people off.
Hell yeah.
I think that maybe I should take it down. I don't know.
I think you should, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. The last thing I want to do is upset people. Okay.
Of course not. We're
Um,
against that.
So
Be
this one,
good.
it's like, what do you guys like? It's not like I'm calling that. There's a question mark there. Okay.
Yeah. It's not definitive.
I'm JAQing. I'm jacking off. Okay. It's not a big deal. All right. Just chill out. But no, yeah, so that is from they had their Reddit community moderator was I guess doing some soliciting of some underage people on Reddit. And of course now Geeks and Gamers has come out to since I've recorded this stream that the video is made of, they said that they are not in any way affiliated with that community, and and I'm sure that's true in the extent that like they're not overseeing it, they're not literally moderating it or whatever, but like this is the culture that you've created, you know what I mean? And then like what I talk about in that video is the evidence of Jeremy Griggs being someone who, as like in the short that was in the intro or today, it's also featured that in the video, talking about him washing his hands of accountability from the Phantom Menace, the name the Phantom Menace, despite the fact that nothing else was changed. It's literally, that T-Rev guy explained it. He's like, well, he saw a bunch of extremism in the Phantom Menace audience, and he said, I'm not gonna, I don't claim it. I disavow the Phantom Menace now. And then yet he's literally still doing Friday Night Tights every week, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing is
Did the
fucking
exact same
changed.
thing.
It's like it's a moral cowardice kind of move, in my opinion. And you cultivate an audience based on the content you make. And I, like I say in the video, I would not have known that before I had an audience, obviously, but like I fully can see it. My audience generally is pretty awesome because of the fact that I've I make awesome content. No, because I don't let people be pieces of shit. And I don't like promote shitty things and harmful ideas and whatnot. And yeah, and so like if you have an audience full of extremists, it's because you're probably feeding them stuff that they like to hear.
Probably.
And to go, no, I don't like that. I don't know. Anyway, so then there's that. Then there's also the fact that he, there's that edgier than thou clip that we looked at. I think it was last week, where he wants Star Wars to be more sexualized, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's weird. Like the with the photo of Rey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, nah. I don't know. I'm kind of out of it, man.
That's so fine. I don't know if it was that side of the fan that was also like in Andor when there's like it's hinted at that or like there's a sex scene. They're like sex does not deserve a place in Star Wars. I don't know if it's the same people, but like if it was, that would be a bit like
yeah.
Right, because I feel like a lot of people who were like saying that didn't like it, but like they also want Star Wars to be more sexualized.
Right. Yeah, it's anything.
But I have no evidence of that, so
no consistency whatsoever. Let's see. It seems to me like the current Comicsgate Civil War is divided in a group of genuine creators with conservative views and very obvious YouTube. Well, I mean, there aren't really any genuine creators with conservative views and very like. So the thing is that there's a couple of foundational falsehoods that Comicsgate exists on. One of which being that the mainstream comics industry just removes, they'd like to kick out people for being conservative. There are conservative creators working at Marvel and DC, and there have been.
Yes.
Ethan Van Sciver will say that like, I was fired for voting for Trump. That's literally not why.
No.
There's, but
they do not care.
The difference is it's not like Comicsgate can never escape from the fucking stain of being based on harassment, and they seem to actually. I'll be honest, I haven't seen as much coordinated harassment as was originally happening in Comicsgate in quite a while. I don't. It might still happen, but like I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any. I've asked for people if you've been harassed by them, like contact me, stuff like that. I haven't really gotten any anybody about that. So I mean, it does seem like there has been just a cool down as far as like being completely volatile and hostile like that overall. But those people are still in Comicsgate. There's still this culture of toxicity. There's still this culture of lying about Marvel and DC, as well as just shitting on marginalized groups because they want representation or because they're being given some representation. It's just in my opinion, you can't be part of Comicsgate and be just a legit creator. You may be wanting to create comics, but you're also attaching your horse to a wagon that is inherently bullshit. So
yeah, damn. Apparently, the first result you get for Andor is fucking critical trigger. That sucks. But he's a big reviewer on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Aliens is grandfathered in. We've talked about that a bit. There's stuff that it basically, as long as it was already out before they had their political indoctrination happen, then it's okay. You know what I mean? But yeah, they were fighting with themselves, and that's fun. As a matter of fact, I can prove that if you want to just make comics, that's all you're wanting to do, you can do it. And there are so many fucking late comic books projects within Comicsgate. DJ had the numbers at one point. I don't have to remember off the top of my head what it was, but there's a lot. And then you've got people that aren't Comicsgate, like, for example, AJ Ampadu, who, if you saw the pre-stream thing, I'll pull this back up so I can talk about it again, because that's pretty awesome. You might have seen where I interviewed him last year. Me and Little Movie Perp talked with him. It's a good chat. But now he is writing at Valiant Comics. It's kind of like, no, it's not Marvel or DC, but Valiant is not a small, like, no-name publisher. They have a pretty good roster of characters and cool lore there. That they have books like Ninjak, Bloodshot, Quantum and Woody, Faith, some good shit. And he's gonna be writing some Ninjak for them when, just last year he had put out his 3 comics, which are at earthtoneking.com. You can get hold of those. He put out 3 books at one time, right? And like one of them was like a full trade paperback, like 130 pages or some shit. 3 different genres.
Damn.
One of them is a like kind of fantasy, space fantasy, family kind of kids-ish comic, Kimmy Cosmic. Another one was Afro-futurist, kind of sci-fi stuff that he did with, I believe, his wife, called was it Drone Slayer, I think. And then the coolest one, in my opinion, was the horror comic that he did called Dragon Face. That's the one that's like 130 pages. Very fucking cool. All different art styles, all different genres, and he wrote them all and put them all out at the same time because he just worked on comics and then put them out instead of doing all this bullshit on YouTube and stuff where you're like, mining for clicks by fucking shitting on SJWs or whatever. Like,
yeah.
If you just want to create comics, you can just create comics and sell them on their merits, even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he even told me a story how, like, he was tempted by the dark side, he said, for a moment. Because Eric July actually he responded to something, and Eric July called him out or something like that on Twitter at one point. And he looked at Eric July and shit, and he said he thought about it. He thought about starting a YouTube channel and just saying, you know what, fuck this, I can do this too, and just start, engaging, embracing the bullshit, embrace the conflict and the drama and stuff, and that'll get more clicks, more eyes on his stuff. And he's like, kind of at the last minute, he was like, you know what, no, that's, because once you open that Pandora's box, that you can't close it. That's a big step to take, and you're basically defining your career on that shit.
Yeah, for sure.
And so he didn't do it. And that was pretty good choice there.
Nice.
Anyway, congratulations to him. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He deserves it.
That's really
that
cool.
much more.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, they did have Solar. I forgot about them. Eternal Warrior. Yeah. Archer and Armstrong. Yeah.
Shadow Man Forever. It's always so fascinating when you talk about comics.
Well, I mean, so typically, if someone has already had a career in comics and they've already been doing it for a while, and then they are in Comicsgate, it's because they fucked up their career elsewhere, and so like they're literally, it's going to be almost impossible for them to gain a higher profile unless you're Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, I always thought like Comicsgate is kind of for like people who are on their way out, you know, and want to like retaliate and want to complain that they're not irrelevant, you know, and then that is like an attempt to regain relevancy rather than gain it to begin with.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that's why like if people that unfortunately there's been plenty of them that start out wanting to make comics and they think that that's the avenue they need to go, and it's like, man, they don't even realize how much they're limiting their career by attaching to that. But anyway, you know, maybe they'll all take each other out and it'll all be better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that. Thank you, Rattle. Thank you, because holy shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, they are apolitical. It was they were like, you know what? Listen, we're gonna bring another guy on the other side, and then you guys are gonna have a friendly debate, and we're just gonna be here.
Right.
And, yeah.
I got this screenshot here. I haven't actually listened to or watched it because like I can't imagine they say anything that I care to hear or
no.
But here it is, man. Like, and it's notable that they got Vivek Ramaswamy, but only after he'd lost. Ramaswamy, I'm sorry, but only after he'd lost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they couldn't get a guy that's actively campaigning for president.
No, of course not.
They get the guy that's like, okay, well, that attempt at grift is done. Now I got to like kind of just like shore up the people that agree with me and monetize those people, which is
yes,
yeah.
This is yeah, this is
about race and gender, huh?
It's
Sorry,
just
go ahead.
crazy. No, it's just like what do these dudes have to add to politics, you know? As like, I mean, I know what like they add in terms of like they have eyes on them, right? But it's like it's just so funny seeing like, and I don't like Vivek Ramaswamy, but like he's a politician, and these people are just like, what do they know about it, you know?
Well, I mean, they know that woke bad, okay, and then also they actually did teach him something. They taught Vivek some shit, and it's, you know,
oh damn,
he might carry it with him. Who knows? Because at least according to this comment, because once again I have not watched the thing, he didn't know of the concept of the MCU, and then of course as soon as he learned about it, he was like, oh yeah, it's a big problem. It's affecting culture. So you know, that's a thing, I guess, where like you don't know of a thing, but then as soon as you hear of it, you realize exactly how much it's affecting culture, and it's a lot.
Damn.
I mean, but look, there's a reason he was running for president, so you know, and I'm not.
wait, let me bring that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, he gone.
Nope, I killed it. Let me open it up again.
You killed it. You did that. Wait, Vivek having never heard of the MCU, then immediately understanding the concept. Oh, like it's the fucking most difficult to understand thing.
Well, it might be, but you know, the guy that created it, that started using it, he actually did define it recently, and we can look at that clip. And this is a segue that we're doing almost as if we planned it, but we didn't. But we did. Let's just pretend we planned the segue.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we totally did.
Of course.
But if we planned it, then I would already have the video loaded up, and I don't. So give me a minute.
Well, I mean, everything is good with a little suspense, you know.
Sure.
You can't give the people what they want, right? You got to tease them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I got this shit somewhere. You know what? In the meantime, let's watch Eric July have a performative meltdown.
He's threatening me. Oh, false
What am I threatening you with? What can I do? I don't need him. I've been in the game for 50 years. Comic Pro. Okay, you the big bad booty daddy. What can I do to you? I can't do anything to you, man. But apparently I'm some guru. I got the strings attached. I'm just some evil, sinister fucking puppet master, and I'm going around controlling people. Controlling them to do what? Who the fuck knows? But it sounds very evil because Eric July is conspiring.
Dane, what the hell, man? I thought you said I was the big bad booty daddy.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You're not the only one.
That's
apparently.
crazy. I thought
It comes off to me as just like something he said without even thinking about it. Kind of like I'm built like a brick. You know, like he's just kind of like he's vamping,
bad booty
right?
daddy. Yeah.
He's just vamping, performing, and he's just like some words come out, and it's like I guess I got to go with that. I don't know. I didn't, very Alex Jonesy, yeah. Scott Steiner. It does sound like a wrestling name. All right. Oh God, all the people I've been telling are the big bad booty daddy. They're all finding me out that I've got all these other conquests.
But I was the big bad booty daddy.
Yeah, he does regularly threaten people. Yeah. Speaking of politics, I find it hilarious that who's Nikki Harris?
It's one of the other Republican runners.
No, it's not. Nikki Haley is. And then like Mika, she is not. She's not better than Joe Biden. Like that's a fucking stupid thing to say. Bob's not here today, Mika. So like, keep your silliness to a fucking minimum because I'm not going to tolerate it.
Damn. I love how I was just trying to get a gotcha on American politics in front of you. I was like, actually, Dane, it's a politician, all right.
Yeah, no. Her name is actually something. I forget what it is, but she's actually got some Middle Eastern heritage that she hides, seemingly. Her first name being something specifically, evoking that, and she goes by Nikki instead. Yeah, Joe Biden, the old man. What are you fucking talking about, man? Like, what Nimrod? Thank you. That's her name.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's old, like, but he's also. I'm not going to sit here and fucking argue with you of all people, Mika, about politics. Come on, man. All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing we'll get into that a bit later. Like, actually, right?
What's that? Politics?
Yeah.
We can. Yeah.
I mean, I see we have a clip of it.
So I have it. I have that just because you never know. It's actually very, very good clip. That's very, very good. So we watched the extended version of this clip on the Fapcast the other night, but I'm gonna keep showing it honestly because I keep seeing the discussion about this shit. So nonetheless, let's learn about what the MCU is real quick.
All right, sounds good.
Y'all watched? No, we don't.
No.
Are you telling us to? Why would we watch him, man? Like he's just the same thing as a bunch of other channels. He sucks.
He's fire.
The phrase MCU?
I did.
Yeah, because and now I've been seeing it and hearing it everywhere.
It's so weird.
Yeah, and I want to know, like, and I know you're probably sick and tired of talking about this kind of stuff, but I want to know exactly what is the definition behind the MCU?
The MCU is defined by Kevin Feige. Okay, so back in 2018, there was an article and he came out and he basically said, I'm paraphrasing, that we need to have more female characters than male characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But on top of that...
Okay, so let's just take this one bit at a time here. Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me that... well, I don't have that loaded up. Let me get that loaded up.
Oh, the Chat Bingo?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean So the beginning part is about these comments that Kevin Feige made about how the erotic claims, right, that there will be more women than men. Yeah.
Yeah, he makes that claim, and so just to get exactly what he said, Kevin Feige in 2018 said he envisions a time when more than half the superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are female. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige says that one day soon there will be more female superheroes in the MCU than male superheroes. And it's like, okay, Why would he do that? Why would that be a thing that he would prioritize? Is it just because wokeness and he's virtue signaling? Or is it because, as you know, is long established, Marvel is the world outside your window, meaning that it's the real world we live in, except with superheroes and shit. Okay. And guess what? There are more women than men, period. It actually it just makes sense that they're, I mean, aside from the fact that all of this is based on the presumption that just having more women is a bad thing.
Which is
like
already just an idiotic take.
Right. I don't know about, it's weird how so many straight dudes are against women these days, right? Like,
it's crazy.
Back in my day.
Oh, the 1950s?
No, look, this is fucking stupid. You want to come on later and talk, Magnus Horace? You do have anything that you can back up this objectively true thing with? It's not objectively true, man. You're actually saying just nonsense. So there you go. But yeah, let me know if you want to come on and talk. We can talk. Otherwise, I'm gonna fucking kick you from chat because you're just repeating bullshit. And unless you start backing it up, yeah. All right, so there you go. There's more women than men. Kevin Feige said he envisions one day where that would be the case. But okay, why? What possible reason would they have for being against that? Right? Is it just because they think that Marvel movies are only for boys, or what? Because the fact is that they couldn't be as popular as they've gotten. However popular they are now. Before they couldn't have gotten there without a shitload of women watching those movies too.
To think that like the MCU is just built on like guys watching is just dumb. That's a really dumb take.
I'm looking to see if I can find a breakdown here.
That'd be cool. But yeah, like it is weird. Like, well, I mean, it's not weird. It's like a thing that's been happening more and more. But like a lot of guys just seem to be hating women.
True. Yeah, that's what it's really about.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marvel fans are slightly more likely to be male, 53%, than female, 47%. It's like barely a minority of the viewers. Just close second place.
All right.
So,
and as Nerd Bodies would probably say, right, there's way more female characters than male characters now, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, okay. Yeah. So this is exactly what I was talking about. You can't back up anything that you say. These are opinions that you're offering here. And then you resort immediately to insults because that's all you know how to do. That's all you guys can do. You cannot back up a goddamn thing you say with actual facts and logic. You're just fucking lashing out, having an emotional fucking meltdown in our chat when, because you just can't handle what we're saying. You're so fucking triggered by the fact that we're sitting here criticizing a guy with a much larger platform than us, right? That we're fucking talking about his dumb points. That like is he that fragile or are you that fragile? Which one is it? Get the fuck out of our fucking chat, dude. If you want to email me at actualfandom.com and then come on my show Friday or something and actually have a conversation where you bring up some facts and support anything, we can do that. But I'm not going to fucking let you just start repeating fucking buzzwords in chat. Bye. All right.
Damn.
They just bypass.
What was I looking at? Oh, so yeah, that's 51 to 47%.
Nice.
Why wouldn't they want to have as many? I don't know. There's a lot of weird preconceptions that go along with thinking that this is something that matters.
Yeah, decades of really good stuff.
Okay, and there's another point there that I wanted to address. So they bypassed decades of storytelling just to get to this woke shit that they're doing now, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if Gary, maybe the meth or the time in jail fucking fucked his brain up or something. He doesn't understand this, but real life human people aren't comic book characters on a page. So whereas in the comics, you can tell decades of stories and the characters never age. They never, go through any, anything that's going to make any substantive difference. It's like part of the reason that comics are cool, honestly, in my opinion. But in real life, people age. Actors, they want out of their contracts. they want to do other things. And then you tell a somewhat contained story, like the Infinity Saga, I suppose, is mostly contained, and then you get done, and you're like, well, we did that. Actors move on, so on and so forth. So they could, recast, I guess, and just tell more stories like that. That's actually a possibility. That's something they could have done, but I doubt that people really were ready for that for a lot of the characters, like Iron Man and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, they're just gonna keep Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans hostage.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go work with Christopher Nolan? Yeah, fuck you. All right, you got to stay here and make our Marvel movies for another 10 years.
Well, like in part with movies, like part of the thing is that they are a moment in time kind of thing, right? Like that it's not just like, oh, and the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, it makes it special. Whereas instead of just like, let's just replace, Downey's contract's over, who's the next guy? You know what I mean? Like that, it fucking waters down the legacy of the character and of the actor, and it's just the nature of the medium and adaptation from comics into film. So
yeah, and I mean, like we've talked about it before. I don't think it has there's plenty of things to be critical about Marvel, like post Endgame. There was also things beforehand, right? But it's like there's been a lot of properties that I haven't really enjoyed much, right? I think there are some issues with specifically like the pace at which they've been putting out content. I think it's led to a lot of fatigue, right? It's probably also not given the creatives a lot of flexibility and time to really flesh out these stories and flesh out the VFX and the the polish of these projects. But I feel like none of these issues have anything to do with the gender of the characters.
Right. Well, it's just like in the comics discourse, right? It's like, they act like it's the writing and stuff, and you can go look at reviews for the comics that currently come out, and by and large, people like a lot of the stuff. And if something isn't selling because the story isn't good, they cancel that shit, and then they fucking do, comics have always survived, right? So like
to all these people, right? It's like I was just gonna be like the MCU has been the MCU and like woke for quite a lot of years now, right? Like they like to think that it's like, oh, well, like 2018 to this, right? Even if it was that's like almost 6 years ago, right? Why would Disney, who cares about nothing else than money first, why would they still be making these movies and TV shows and stuff? If they just kept losing money because of this woke agenda, right? Disney doesn't care. They care about money. And this and like Marvel makes them money. It's just it's weird. The double standards are weird, man.
It is weird. It does. There's no sense. That's why I'm saying, like, these guys can talk a big game in chat, because they're not forced to back up anything they say. They can just start insulting like that guy did. And that's why I get pissed off at him, because it's fucking cowardly. We've asked people to come on and talk to us before. And in fact, you know what? I think pretty soon we're going to be having a stream, and we'll announce it ahead of time. We'll put plenty of time out there for people to get a hold of us and stuff. But like, I've done it a couple times on my channel where we just do a stream dedicated to, if you would like to come discuss these disagreements with us. If you want to call it a debate, that's how you can do it. But I mean, we wouldn't be putting up with any bullshit tactics and like, being needlessly hostile and stuff like that. So, I mean, ideally we could get guys like Gary, Critical Drinker, these guys are just, they know who we are. There's evidence of that. And yet they refuse to actually, support or defend any of the claims they make to us directly. But yeah, we're probably going to do a stream that's just dedicated to having people on to discuss these things. But to address this comment here, so don't you think they should have recast like Bond? No, I don't. What is Marvel without Captain America, Iron Man, etc.? Well, I mean, they're not
so much before.
They're not without Captain America. They have a Captain America.
True.
And they have Ironheart. There's also still War Machine. Legacy. That's one of the reasons Legacy is a good thing.
How big was Iron Man in like the comics before the MCU? Jeez, I almost said MCU. The MCU. like I've always heard, but obviously I'm not the expert here on comics, right? But like I've heard that like Iron Man wasn't like massive to the degree that he is now.
He was not. No, he wasn't.
Yeah. Like Marvel has a lot.
Like the reason that
like,
Marvel,
other than that,
the reason they still had they had the rights to him, Marvel, was because they'd sold the rights to all the popular characters to other movie studios, right? That's why the
Yeah.
X-Men were with Fox, Spider-Man is still with Sony, you know, and stuff like that. Like all the characters that had already kind of broken out of the comic fandom and like people have become aware of them outside of comics fans.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knew who they were. Iron Man, like kind of, I guess some people knew who he was vaguely, I suppose, but like, yeah, up until that movie, he was not a fan favorite or anything. Yeah, he was just some douche, right? Like,
yeah. So it's like the whole idea that like, oh, the MC like Marvel is nothing without like Iron Man and Captain America and stuff. It's just not true.
Yep.
You know?
It's not true. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we're also about to get the X-Men. Like, you asked, what is Marvel without? Like, even if we didn't have a Captain America, we do have a Captain America. We do have at least legacy characters that are inspired by Iron Man, so his like presence is still felt and whatnot. And I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. will be back at some point. But we're gonna have the X-Men. What are they without the Avengers? They're the fucking X-Men. That's what Marvel is.
So those are the Fantastic Four coming soon.
Yep. Anyway, so just that, I just wanted to address that point, that part of it, because what we're doing here is we're breaking down everything that he says is a reason to call it the MCU, because it's all bullshit.
To get to the modern, you know, identity politics.
Yeah, they just wanted to get to the modern identity politics, not that they wanted to get to the stories that, you know, represent a larger demographic. Because as Turf saying, you know, Marvel, like Disney, they want to make money, but then, you know, why would you we're in a fucking interconnected world now. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind about all this shit, is that there's no going back unless somebody does a global EMP. You know what I mean? Like, sets one off. We're all connected. We're all, so like, thinking that it's even possible to just, I don't know, why are they catering to these other people that aren't white or whatever? It's like, well, because they live in the world too, and they have money, man. Like,
yes. It's just,
because they want to make money, and because the white guys like you are fucking, you know, just on YouTube saying bullshit. So yeah, they're gonna go for other people too. Yeah, it's true. They're known for left leaning politics, but it's not like they're super fucking radical left or anything. They're just generally kind of progressive socially. Yeah.
The intersectional feminism, where it's all the girl bosses and all the male characters are diminished.
That right there,
yeah,
is I think the final point that he makes. So this will be every single point that he's made here. We will have taken apart after this, but intersectional feminism and then diminished male characters is contradictory ideas. Because intersectionality, I mean, yeah, the word feminism is in there, and I think that kind of trips certain people up. But like, intersectionality is not about like, well, we're gonna put, you know, raise women over men or whatever the fuck. It's like literally creating an intersectional, you know, equity based, you know, kind of playing field. And it also addresses issues of masculinity and the problems with being a man in society these days, which Turf, you've spoken about some good shit about, you talked about in like at least a couple of videos that I know of.
Yeah, I mean that's like a pretty like core part of a lot of like theories of feminism, right? That it's not just about women's rights. It's also about like masculinity and toxic masculinity and especially like patriarchy, and how patriarchy does not just affect women. Of course, it affects women to a pretty significant degree, but it also affects men, right? And if anyone was doing like had or if these people tried to actually understand what feminism is about and what it says, and there's a lot of branches of feminism, not all of them are great, but like, you know, in general, the way that I think a lot of people who agree with feminism think of it as, you know, like there's a lot of nuance in it. It's not just, oh, we need like women should be at the top, and that should be at the like detriment of men. That's not what it means.
No.
And it's just
Uh,
so yeah, I agree that it's like those two statements are just they don't go together.
Well, I mean, so what I think he probably means is that to say diminished is meaning that like that men are no longer in the position of authority. They're not just the default best thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that is from a perspective of being afraid of that. I suppose it's diminishing.
Mhm.
You know, if like you were just really prize your ability to swing your dick around and do whatever you want without accountability. But yeah, like that's why I always be sure to say intersectional along with feminism. And so that's where he fucked up, because if he just said
Yeah.
feminism, he, you know, I wouldn't have much to say here, because like he could be meaning any kind of feminism that like there are some shitty kinds out there.
There is.
But he's to say intersectional feminism, and then say that, it's like, you don't know what you're saying, Gary. You're just fucking saying words that, like, you know, you're.
I mean, like, I feel like what he's trying to say is pretty shit, right? Like he's trying to say it in terms of like intersectional. So it's like it's women and feminism, but it's also
Mhm.
like black women, you know, like
Mhm.
lesbians and like
Yeah, that's what he's trying. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, that's what he's trying to say here, right? And it's just he's looking dumb while he's saying it.
I had
Yeah.
forgotten because
Saying
I'm.
words to sound smart, exactly.
You guys want to have a guest today? Because I fucked up and forgot to send
Oh
an invite.
god.
Let's see. And they 8 minutes ago were still interested. Thank God they haven't decided I'm a piece of shit. So go ahead and send that link now. Yeah, I apologize to our guest. I'm sure they'll be
Yeah.
on in a minute. But I had there's some personal minor emergency stuff came up like just a little while ago, and I'm all over the place right now. So
Oh yeah.
apparently Deadpool 3 is finished filming. Also, I wanted to share this. Jon Stewart will return to host the Daily Show on Mondays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's cool. And joining us now, Edgier Than Thou. Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Hello. I apologize.
How are
It's
you
solely
doing?
on
No,
me.
no worries. I was watching and I figured
So yeah. Sorry guys, Organized Chaos not here today. Whoops, wrong comment. I know all of our channels are currently streaming this, but yeah, it's just me and
Yeah.
Turf today.
Yes.
And now Edgier,
Yeah.
Sorry, you
So-
told me your name. Let me look that up.
Malachi is good.
Okay.
I've been going back and forth on whether or not I should go by Malachi or Kai on here for reasons that will become clear eventually, but yeah, I guess I'll just stick with Malachi.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Cool. We've watched
why
a
don't-
couple of shorts from you.
We have. Yeah. Why don't
Yeah,
you, the people who don't, just like the people who don't know you, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I mean I make YouTube videos about like media and politics and that sort of thing. I am a first year grad student right now, so you know that takes up the majority of my time, but
Yes.
you know we're rolling with the punches here. And yeah, I don't know. I like talking about media and politics and stuff and analyzing things. I'm a chemist. That's what I'm going into. So I like to talk about, it's on the screen there, like chemistry stuff every once in a while when something interesting comes up. But yeah, I don't know, just interested in like analysis, and I think very clearly have something of a political bent, but it's not too difficult to see the position that I'm taking. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good position. Generally, it seems like these are I think the first one that I saw was a short about kind of, I think it might be kind of what we were talking about today. Let me think. I probably shouldn't try and find that right now because you
God,
do more
I need
shorts
to
than I realized,
I need
but-
to put fucking thumbnails on them, because it's so bad seeing just like all of the ridiculous faces or whatever, because I don't even like shorts I don't even check.
Yeah. I originally saw your video on like the case study of what was it, a critical drinker and Jeremy Johns.
Oh my god, yes. So
Mhm.
that was like one of the first things that I had that like quote unquote blew up.
Mhm.
I was like super interested in that framing device. I really wish that I had delivered a lot of it better. Just like looking back, but I don't know, like one of the points that I was really trying to get at there that I think I really fumbled was like the way that Critical Drinker in particular, I think is like super, super bad at this, where he'll like write a fanfic in his head and then get upset that they didn't write that. You know, so he'll be like, oh, here's what I think is a better story, but they're too cowardly to write that. It's like, that's a fucking story you just came up with. Like, what?
Yeah.
Or
like,
the opposite, which like we in our Critical Drinker video that we did together, like there was Everything Everywhere All at Once, that which is generally actually kind of a good review by him.
Yeah, the freaking the millennial or the Gen Z shit. Oh my god.
It's like it's just like a good review, and without that part, it would have been like, holy shit, he actually made a really pretty solid. And then he just goes off into this tangent about like, oh, but if it had been a Gen Z, like, but it wasn't, dude. What are you talking about? He creates this fucking boogeyman, and then fights it, in a video.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah,
no, there's definitely like there's a reason why when like I ever come back to people like that, if I'm going to be making a full-on like scripted response video, it's going to be to someone like him, because like the majority of the people in that sphere, I feel like have never even tried to write anything ever, like have no clue what they're talking about.
Right.
But it like that's one of the things that bugs me so much about this guy in particular is like I know he knows what this stuff is. I know he has a clue, and that's why I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
Dude. You were halfway there.
Like that's the really frustrating thing about the Critical Drinker. It's like unlike a lot of the rest of them, he could do better. Like,
well, sorry, yeah.
Like he doesn't have to, when he's making a video about Across the Spider-Verse, right? He doesn't have to go into that long spiel about the forgotten white man, Like without that, it's a decent review. But it's like he could do a lot better, and unlike the others, like he's written stuff, he actually seems like he has some kind of interest in the art form, but he doesn't show it off.
I feel like is this trying to argue with us or support what we're saying? I can't tell.
I was going to say, that's the point I'm making. He has written stuff. I have no idea like the quality of it or whatever. I know he's doing a short film, and if it's either like really good or really bad, I'll probably review it if it's available. If it's like middling, then I don't give a shit. But like I probably would talk about it because I like that's the thing, is that I feel like, okay, he very clearly has like at least some idea of what he's talking about. But yeah, I don't know, like the Spider-Verse thing in particular was one I very nearly did a response to, and I ultimately decided against it, but just because it felt like he was getting like super, super close to actually trying to analyze a piece of media, because he was like analyzing the themes, because obviously that's not really what his channel is about anyway, even when he's doing quote unquote apolitical stuff. Like it's more about the the basics, and is this going to be entertaining, is it going to be fun, whatever, which is fine. But it felt like he was like actually trying to analyze theme for a second there, but like because he's just I assume never tried to do that before, like is just like fumbling really hard. But I don't know, I try to come at it at least a little bit from like a sociological lens, because I did my undergrad in that, and like recognizing that so much of the stupid bullshit that a lot of these people engage in is like manufactured, sometimes from like internally, sometimes like I don't even think they're fully aware of it. And so it's like, okay, there are, I think, ways that either these people or people in their audiences can be meaningfully reached and like get better at media criticism without even having to necessarily like change how they feel about a particular piece of media. Like, I don't give a shit if you come out of it still absolutely fucking hating half of the stuff that Marvel's putting out. Like, I don't particularly like a lot of it, but yeah, so I don't know. It's something that I have a couple of ideas for like more meaningful responses in the future, but at the moment, I'm like I'm kicking myself occasionally over it. I was like, God, there were some shit arguments in there, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
nature of being nature of being a YouTuber is like you're always going to look back at all your older stuff and like, oh God, should I just private that video? I don't know, but a lot of people seem to watch it, so maybe not. And like, so I actually have right here, you reminded me, because I found where Critical Drinker had done an AMA on Reddit like 7+ years ago. So before he was Critical Drinker. And this is about his novels and stuff. So like, this is from people just, asking about his writing. And you can definitely tell that he is more cognizant of certain things than he lets on in his film reviews, right? Like, right here, someone asks him, any games with good storytelling, right? And he's like, The Last of Us was, in my opinion, one of the most mature and well-constructed narratives I've ever seen in a game. The ending of BioShock Infinite also goes down as one of my, like, he's not a stupid guy like a lot of these guys can be. It's just kind of a interesting little moment in time to look at that. And
yeah, I guess like I find it very interesting because obviously, like, I understand to an extent you're going to be playing a character on the internet. I mean, particularly in his brand of like YouTube stuff. So it's not even necessarily like, it's legitimately just like the content of it that I find so frustrating. When I was like very first starting out making YouTube videos, shit ass quality of audio, terrible picture, whatever. I came across him. That was like the first time that I ever saw anything from him. I was like, oh, interesting, like a reviewer. And I watched a couple videos and was like, all right, whatever, this is fine. Maybe new person to listen to occasionally. And I watched his one on like Black Widow, I think it was. And he did this like lightning round of like stuff that's wrong with the movie. And so much of it was like, he's literally showing shots of like the opposite of that happening. I was like, dude, I've heard your other stuff. Like, I know you're better than this. I know that you're smarter than that. It's like, not to just be like a total critical drinker circle jerk or anything, but like for real.
Well, no, I mean, it is kind of frustrating in that regard because like he, it does seem like he knows what he's doing. And that almost pisses me off more than somebody that's just like a really hateful asshole. We covered in our video a few instances of like him. The deceptive editing is the thing that really finally made me realize with him that like, oh God, he definitely knows what he's doing. Because the question in my mind with any of these guys is always at first like, are they aware of how wrong they are? Are they aware of what they're doing being, pretty silly? And then there was a Pillar of Garbage had a video, a review of Glass Onion. Well, no, it was more like, I'm sorry, it was his video. We kind of talked about Glass Onion as a review context, but he also talked about Critical Drinker and the deceptive editing that had been done in his review of it to kind of like frame this one moment as something that it wasn't. It just became clear with that. And then there were things like what was the character from The Witcher that in that one section, Turf?
Wait, which one?
Jaskier, is that the name? What was it?
Jaskier.
Yeah, that's it.
In The Witcher.
Right.
Yes.
And he's talking about there's no more strong, stoic men in media anymore. And it's like he's showing Jaskier, but then like the shoulder in the screen on the screen with Jaskier is like Henry Cavill, Geralt. Yeah. And it's like, yeah.
Like who is the exact like perfect image of like the stoic man. Like that character, And it's like, yeah, sure, he's showing Jaskier, who is like more of a bumbly, more of that like quick witty, makes a lot of jokes kind of character, right? But it's a show about Geralt of fucking Rivia,
right.
Like who is like the manliest man, if you want to go like true traditional masculinity. But it's just like he just edits completely around that to make his argument that like, oh, look at Jaskier here. It's like there's no good men anymore, or like no more masculine men anymore, because Hollywood doesn't want that. Like once you pay attention to how he edits and frames his videos, it's just it's hard to not see it.
So have you played Chud Bingo before?
I have not. I have seen the bingo card. I've seen you guys post it around and on at least one live stream. I remember seeing that.
Full credit to Pillar of Garbage for that one. Because that was his thing that he came up with. I was like, we're stealing that. We're going to use that as much as possible because it really is just great framing device to show the repetition and the the repetitive nature of this stuff. But yeah, so let's do a round of that with this one video. It's like a short video from Film Threat, but we'll see what we can spot.
Bingo!
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Bingo!
I'm just gonna come as hard as I can.
Jodie Foster slams Gen Z. I need to share screen with this.
What's this? Is this Gen Z is becoming like a new, or I guess has become another version of woke, basically, right? Like if you're Gen Z, then you're woke.
Yeah. Which just makes sense because there's so many like people who are Gen Z who are on the internet being like, "Oh, I hate wokeness and anti-wokeness and stuff." You know?
It's totally like a "you're one of the good ones" type of a thing. Like I
Yeah.
talked to like conservative like Gen Z, Gen Z kids and whatever, and it's so wild to me how much they like desperately want to posture at being a part of a different generation, all while being like
Yeah.
permanently online. And like you
Yes.
can't like posture as a boomer or some like golden generation or whatever while you're commenting on 50 different YouTube videos or whatever. Like that, like those two
Right.
things are
Yeah.
not are not
You're
congruent.
terminally online. You are Gen Z through and through.
Let's see. So this one I'm interested in, and I grabbed this video because I really don't know what he's got to say other than she slams Gen Z. But like, I've been watching True Detective Night Country. I'm excited for it to be kind of like, it's never going to reach the heights of the first season, but it's a pretty good season so far, and it's what some might consider woke in many ways. And I'm curious what he's saying that he's using Jodie Foster somehow.
Is it gonna be Jodie Foster? Because I didn't know this until like yesterday or 2 days ago, but apparently you can just say X actor said this, and then it turns out it's a character they played in a movie. I was watching Ryan Kinnell on stream yesterday or the day before, and he was just like, Kate Blanchett slammed, by which we mean a character that Kate Blanchett played in a movie. And I was like, that's not the same fucking thing.
I mean, yeah, like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him doing that, but like what they tend to do is there was one time when Ryan Kinnell was using what's her name that she played Wednesday on the Wednesday show. She's was on Scream. I forget her name. But like, saying something like some statement she'd made, and he kind of took it out of context to say that she meant something against wokeness or whatever. And it's like you look at her Wikipedia, and she's just like connected to all of these quote unquote woke, progressive, social justice type of causes and stuff like that. And it's like,
Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they'll just use whatever they can get their hands on, kind of thing.
Because I have to recount a couple of things. I'm going to read some quotes from this story. I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. This is from Variety. Jodie Foster says Gen Z is really annoying, especially in the workplace. They're like, quote, nah, I'm not feeling it today. Can confirm. Alan and I have made attempts to hire interns. You bring in someone for a summer. They work for you for 2 to 3 months. You fill out a form. You write a little letter of recommendation.
So is this a new concept where older people find younger people frustrating to deal with? Because I feel like that's something that's just been around a while.
No, I think that this is the first time that's happened.
Okay.
I don't think ever previous
This has
generations
never
have had
happened.
no.
All generations have always just loved and appreciated each other.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean when cars first became a thing, and the horse and buggy generation saw that, all they saw was like, oh great, our children are going to be able to get around more efficiently. There was no laziness imparted upon them by that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm wondering if you could find any actors who were adults back working with Jodie Foster when she was a kid that would be like, man, that Jodie Foster kid is an annoying little asshole. I just wonder.
It's also just like whenever there's a statement like this where it just mentions a generation, and it's not like some big like general discussion. Rather, it's like, oh, this whole generation just don't want to work. It's just like, I mean, it's probably the same as like these people probably react like or be annoyed if you say like, oh, boomers, they're just racist, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of boomers are racist, compared to like earlier generations, but like not all of them. And it's just like, but like you said, the generation battles are going on all the time.
The funniest example of this is a few months ago, I think Rob Liefeld, for anybody familiar with comics, especially 90s eras comics, know about him. And like he had made a statement somewhat similar to this, except like more specific, where he's like, every time I've tried to work with somebody from the younger generation nowadays, they're late with their work. They don't want to listen to instruction. They can't do things consistently. And it's like, dude, you're describing your entire career as an artist. Like he was notorious for being late with books all the time, for drawing. I mean, Rob Liefeld is a meme online for a reason. That no feet thing and the pouches and all that shit. And it's just like pure projection on his part. It was honestly like, is this like a satire thing? Does he know he's doing this? Yeah.
Based on how serious. What just happened?
Something fell.
Boomer
All right.
moment. That's what happened.
Want to make sure you're okay, man.
I'm fine. Keep going.
This is a boomer
so
conversation.
I
What
can
happened
confirm
there?
we've hired people. It has not worked out.
Just so you know, this video is 6 minutes long, 6:21, and they're a minute in, and they're just now restarting the story. That is a very boomer thing to do.
The whole quiet quitting thing, it's a thing where I'll meet with someone very excited about a new intern, like, hey, let's go. Here's the responsibility. I try to keep it very light. What am I looking for? Someone who is enthusiastic and passionate, really wants to do stuff for Film Threat. And secondly, follow through.
Yeah, imagine that. Like younger people, like don't have sometimes don't have the practice at being consistent and following through and stuff like that. It just happens. Also, you're talking about a generation that kind of doesn't have a future, which is alarming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel so bad for kids these days because like at least I had the illusion of like, oh, you're gonna be able to get a job and have a nice car and own a home. It'll be no problem. Just work, and that's all you got to do. Of course, that didn't turn out that way for most of my generation too. But like, they don't even have that illusion anymore. And also, then there's the whole climate change thing. I don't know how old you are.
I'm 21, so I mean, I'm at like the slightly older edge of what they're talking about. But
okay,
I don't know. I just like I find it so interesting and like, I guess bizarre, first of all, because Gen Z people are what make up these people's audience and what is going to give it any amount of longevity.
Exactly.
I mean, like, not to say that there aren't like older people who are super obsessed with this shit. I had one guy who was following my channel, just like repeatedly commenting because I stopped responding to him. Like, he's full of shit, And like, I go back to his channel and he's like 50 something. I was like, dude, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Like, you have grandkids to take care of. But I don't know. It's both that, and it's also just complete lack of analysis as to why some of those things might be. Because my experience, at least with Gen Z people, is oftentimes that they take on shitloads of projects, so many different things constantly, and then end up not getting as much done as a result, either as a result of burnout or because they just put too much on their plate. Like that seems to be like Gen Z people. If I were to be incredibly critical of the generation, would have not necessarily reasonable expectations of themselves or of other people, honestly. Like that's the thing that I see. So like
fair. Yeah. And Turf, you're like what, 14? Something like that?
Oh yeah, 13 actually. Turning 14.
But that's in Danish years, so you're like actually, I don't know, 64, something like that.
37, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's also, what the fuck does any of this have to do with film? Right? Like, other than just talking about something Jodie Foster said, like, it's this very specific thing to zero in on for a film channel. And that's the kind of thing that, like, I don't know, it just.
No, and that's so goddamn weird because for the longest time, and they still continue to do the posturing at, we don't care what celebrities have to say. Anytime like they speak up on anything like that, it's like, oh, just, stick to movies, stick to TV, whatever. And it's like, right, but then like the second that somebody endorses something they vaguely agree with, they're like, oh my God, look, we got one, guys.
Exactly. They're so starved for any kind of attention from celebrities or people that they think have some kind of influence, because they've been let down so many times by, like of course the big example with Zack Snyder and his whole like just openly saying he doesn't condone like geeks and gamers and stuff, and then just a lot of times like they don't have many supporters, so whenever there's a celebrity who gives them even an ounce of like attention or relevance, or even something that they, like you said, they can agree with, that they can exploit, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, literally, even a crumb.
Exactly, because they pretend they don't like celebrities and like, oh, they should just stay in their lanes and stuff until they say something they agree with.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just nothing but if it wasn't for double standards, they'd have no standards at all. That's just proven true every single day. And we got Sherry in the audience in chat.
Hell yeah.
Another excellent YouTuber. You might like this one, Turf. They've got a video on Star Wars theory out. today.
Oh, nice. Oh,
Your
I
channel
gotta,
and
I'll have to take a look at that.
Ooh.
I love a good video on Star Wars theory.
apparently
And
he's a liar.
He is a liar. I can agree with that. It's a pretty good statement.
That's a good question, Sketchy. Yeah, we're by the way, if you're a YouTuber that makes like, good content about media and you're not just like, resorting to woke bad and shit like that, we want to have you on. We want to promote stuff. So get in
Hell yeah.
touch.
Yeah, if you think your content is awesome and great.
Oh God, you should probably kick me then. I feel like
Nah,
if we're going down that route.
you make good stuff. It's really good.
I mean, I feel like me and Dane, we both have talks about like I don't know about you, but like the little bit of like imposter syndrome is like, I don't think my content's very good, either. So
No, I totally I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like you're always gonna have that to an extent, but
of course, yeah.
No, yeah.
It's how I know I'm not a narcissist,
Yeah, exactly. I actually just love myself, but I just have to pretend I don't.
Let's see, Morgan. Well, I mean, you're here though. You are here. You're right there. I see you.
You're there.
I will do. Thank you, Sketchy Got Hands, Initiative Secretary, doing the good work there. Just kidding. Anyways, yeah, I can't imagine that there's much more interesting said in this 6 minutes, but we'll see.
I think it's fair to say it's nearly impossible for us to have found anyone under 30. I can think of a couple people, but anyone under 30 who fulfills that role: enthusiastic, passionate, and then reliable. I think we found a few, but more often what happens is we get someone, they're very excited, and then they just don't do anything and don't respond to messages. Alan, do you have thoughts on this?
Yes. This happened recently to a friend of ours who was who had booths set up at South by Southwest. It was a VR thing, VR demonstrations. And you're supposed to
really boring.
You're supposed to reserve
It
your
is.
time.
It is really boring. Like,
is.
Jesus
It
Christ,
is
man. Like,
incredibly dry.
no wonder we don't watch his videos very often.
Yeah. So apparently they go on for 6 months just about that, which is great content and really, really taught me something about film. So that's great.
Well, I mean, look, I think we didn't do very well today on bingo, because
the videos,
they don't.
There should be a thing so bad that like
we can't even finish it.
Yeah, can't finish. That's crazy.
Yeah, yikes. Well, but that's the thing about Chris Gore is that he kind of rides the line a bit. It's obvious that he wants to be more of like the anti-woke grip types, and he goes on Friday Night Tights regularly. But he does use softer language, and I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to look at that video, even a little bit, is because the Gen Z thing is becoming a new sort of dog whistle. I think like what they imagine and probably what their audiences imagine is just the I don't know, the blue-haired feminist or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, Gen Z ends up being kind of like a catch-all term for basically like any marginalized category after a certain point. Like it's one of the ones why like it's almost even harder to talk about as a quote unquote dog whistle, just because like, yes, in a lot of cases it is that, but it's so goddamn vague that like they could mean legitimately anyone. Which I guess is also, it kind of benefits it. You can kind of see yourself in whatever they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Gore famously coined the term Disney Sparkle, which is...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I meant to actually, maybe I'll still do that. I don't know. But like, yeah, we have that video on the Initiative channel, which is linked below, by the way. And like, where we talked about his video where it was, what was it, that movie? Was it Strange World or whatever? I think.
Yeah.
He was like, basically, Disney they should respect all of these parents, these families that don't want any of this gay stuff, and have their own section called Disney Sparkle. Literally what he said. And I was, like I copied his format for his some of his old videos or whatever, and it's like it says segregate the gays, because that's his idea for how to deal with this issue. I guess is just digital segregation. Cool, man. fucking cool. And it's like, it just, is that just anything that mentions or has a gay character at all? Like, you know, what's the line there? And it's just the kind of bigotry that's almost like, it's more pathetic in a way, because like, man, at least like, I don't know, you're just running defense for bigots, and that's its own version of bigotry.
Yeah, for sure.
But
No, I mean, it gets to a point too, like when they start making suggestions about how things could be better, and you realize how like incomprehensible it is. Like what, like practically, how would one implement anything like that? You know, first of all, in a way that's going to make them any money. Like, do you think that that segregating gay people on Disney Plus is going to fucking like is going to be good for their subscriber numbers? But is that there's absolutely no pragmatism in any of the things that they want. Same thing with, you know, Jeremy wanting Star Wars to be more sexy. Like what, like there's no logical through line there. And I find it so weird that so much of the criticism that they levy at people they disagree with is based around, oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, you just don't, you don't understand the real world. Oh, you don't get it. And I'm like, I believe that, you know, that any of these people have, by virtue of being in their 30s or 40s, have experienced the real world. How the fuck have you made it this far? If this is the way that you think about things, if this is how you're planning activities, like it feels like you have to be deliberately dumbing yourself down, or the YouTube has just like rotted your brain. I don't know. But
I mean, you know, and they're not seeing it as involving real people. So like to them, it's just they're working with these very cartoonish, you know, thin, two-dimensional versions of an idea, instead of like you know, issues that involve human beings and you know, and money, which, as you pointed out rightfully so, is really what it's all about to these corporations and stuff. So and if, like, let's say you segregate the gay content over to Disney Sparkle, right? Like there's going to be a lot of people, like probably I would hope anyway, more people than pissed off about that than there are pissed off because there's
way more,
you know, and that would lose Disney a lot of money. So
no, yeah, I don't even think that, like, I don't think that there's a way that could optically work. Like the only reason that they get away with half of the stuff that Disney, you know, gets away with cutting gay characters out of movies or like all of that business is because, one, it's not as high profile because it's not happening in the United States generally, it's happening overseas. And I guess, like, two, because it feels so minor that it doesn't affect the actual like overall product, because that's the point. They put, you know, it's like that's the idea, is to put people in there in a way that doesn't actually change anything so they can cut it out. But I feel like any sort of really blatant, overarching, like obvious push against you know, queer people or whatever is not going to turn out well for them. Like there's no way they're winning that rhetorical battle, you know.
Like the core audience, the people who care about like watching things that Disney puts out, they don't care that there are gay people in it, you know, or like they're not getting mad at it, they accept it, you know. And it's only these bigots who come in and then just randomly say, oh, you should segregate it. Like, who's gonna listen to them, you know? And that's why I said, like, this thing with Greg is like who's saying, like, I don't think Gore was trying to be the smartest. He was probably just thought like it was an actually good middle ground solution, and that's probably true. He probably thought it was a good idea, but that's the problem, you know. It's like, it's a dumbass idea.
Yep. I mean, you just don't give grounds to bigots is generally a good position to hold. Let's see. I got a video here we can check out real quick. Some of it anyway. By Movies with Mark. He's a member of our community in Discord, which really we should start promoting that more often. Maybe
we should. I probably have to head out after this.
Okay. Well, I mean, is there anything that you would rather do first?
No. Let's do that.
Okay. This is just him talking about the box office and how it doesn't matter. And I will get his link while we're watching it.
Nice.
How does one judge a movie's success? Everybody has their own metric for whether or not a film resonates with them. Maybe it features the most robust of editing, the tightest of scripts, or the strongest performances. In terms of trade publications and studios, their primary metrics for success have been theatrical box office earnings. These earnings are the ticket sales a film receives from theaters, determining how much revenue a film has produced. The publication Variety began publishing box office earnings in 1922. to, and continues the practice to this very day. And nowadays, there are numerous online publications devoted to tracking the box office grosses, such as Box Office Mojo. But really though, in the grand scheme of talking about what makes films good or bad, the box office numbers are minuscule in their insight. When it comes to talking about film and its qualities, box office numbers do not matter.
It's not about money, it's about sending a message.
Now, when I say the box office numbers do not matter, I don't mean they matter to nobody. They obviously matter to the filmmakers and the studio. A successful box office gross can lead to more films for a director or a continuation of a franchise. A box office hit means better success for a studio and also determines their future slate. But those numbers only matter to those involved with the business and have a career at stake in it. If you are not a filmmaker, producer, studio executive, or shareholder, then really, what value does the box office gross have for you? Well, for some, box office grosses often become shorthand for trying to stress whether a film is good or bad. And really, this is such an arbitrary angle to stress. I mean, does a film really need to make a lot of money to be considered good? A perfect example of the box office not determining the quality or even popularity of a film can be seen in 1994's The Shawshank Redemption. This prison drama is greatly revered today and has become so
Well, okay, but they didn't have any explosions though, so
Oh yeah,
not a good movie. That's what we decided.
Bad movie.
Mainstream that it has been parodied numerous times, but it wasn't a hit at the theaters. The film cost $25 million to make and only had a box office gross of $16 million, due to the film's marketing and disinterest by audiences amid more popular films. It was only through VHS rentals and numerous reruns on cable that people started to widely recognize the film as a great prison escape movie. So with this in mind, think about this.
All right, and before he answers that question, I think you should all go and watch the video yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it is a very good video, and I think it would be a shame if you guys didn't go and watch it.
Yep, and then just to kind of give you an idea of what he does on his channel, because it's good stuff. Here it is, Movies with Mark. Check him out. He covered this stupid what you call it? I forget her name that she made that movie. I don't know. She's a singer. She made some movie about autism, and it was really
Sia?
bad.
Is
Yeah,
that how
that's it,
it's
Sia.
pronounced?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's really bad depiction of autism. Pretty bad. You know, Sound of Freedom. I imagine there's nobody in the comments of that saying anything super shitty and weird.
No, of course not.
Yeah, Revenge of the Nerds. Yep. No, so
Yeah.
good. Just look, he's a level-headed, intelligent guy that loves movies and talks about them in a way that isn't, sensationalist, which is apparently what YouTube wants. But nonetheless, engage with content like that more.
Hell yeah. He makes great videos.
Failed Gundam War. Oh yeah. Culture War. Okay. Yeah. Have they tried to use Gundam or something for Culture War purposes? I don't know.
I feel like they've tried to use everything at this point.
Probably so.
I don't think anything's safe.
Yeah. Well, what are you working on, Malachi?
Yeah, well, so currently, and I haven't officially talked about this on my channel yet. It's not something that'd be hard to find out. I've talked about it on Instagram a shitload, but I am in the process of editing a book, a novel. So that's kind of my big side project.
I know you've got one up on Amazon. I saw it, right?
It is no longer up. I took that down. So the reason that whole thing went down, that happened when I was 15 or 16.
Oh.
And because of the nature of the way that I make stuff, I was like, okay, look at this. It's not good. I like a lot of the ideas that I had there. There was a lot of really interesting stuff. Not good writing style, whatever. Not very well fleshed out. Pacing like you would.
Well, you were 15 or 16.
Right, exactly. But I was like, okay, I have been thinking about this book series because that's what it ultimately will be for well over a decade. Very much want to continue with it. So I sat down and I basically just completely rewrote the entire thing start to finish, like not in the way that you would, not just like rewriting a draft, but like fully restructuring it and whatever. And so now I have something, it's quite a bit longer because it needed to be, because the pacing was terrible. And I'm quite a bit more proud of it as it stands. So now we're getting it, getting a dev edit taken care of, and hopefully that'll be out this year.
Nice.
But yeah, long-term stuff, I'd like to start getting, more and more stuff like that out. I have a video in the works. Has anybody here seen the film Swiss Army Man?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. How'd you feel about that movie?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It's got from what I remember, I think I actually really liked it a lot. It's been a lot of years though, so.
So that as a sociology major is my favorite movie of all time, which could potentially go like one way or the other. I'm working on basically like a much longer video essay about that. It's probably like months and months out, but that's kind of like, I like to.
Isn't aware, Swiss Army Man is about it's Paul Dano is a guy who I think he's like trapped on an island or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
And he escapes and gets off the island by riding the corpse of Daniel Radcliffe that talks to him and also farts as means of propulsion for getting across the water. So he's literally riding a farting Daniel Radcliffe corpse. It's absurd, but it's fun.
It's gonna be, I appreciate that. I hope that it will be fantastic. I'm something like, I don't know, something like 6,000 words into it or whatever, but it's going to be who fucking knows how long. But like one of the things that I find super interesting about media is even when it's unintentional, and obviously in Swiss Army Man, it's very much intentional. Same people who did Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. If anyone is, if anyone's needs like an endorsement of this movie, it's just like what each individual moment or event in the story is trying to communicate to the audience. In the case of Swiss Army Man, very intentionally, because a lot of like that movie has a lot of like really blatant and explicit social commentary. Like there's stuff that they straight up just outright tell you, and then there's a lot of really like subtle things that convey to me that the Daniels have a very strong understanding of the sociological imagination, which is, well, one, a term that we don't use enough in the media sphere, and two, something that like is just super, super exciting for me, and something I'm at some point probably going to talk to sociology professors at our university and be like, you should consider showing this, because I feel like you could get some really enlightening discussion out of it. But
yeah, I've never heard that term before, so that actually is a cool term.
Yeah, the sociological imagination is something that you talk about. It's usually introduced in like an intro level sociology class, and basically they phrase it a bunch of different ways. But the ultimate idea behind having a strong sociological imagination is being able to take yourself out of your current cultural context and observe things just as they are, as events. So in the same way that if you hear about a custom in Japan or in India or in whatever, Central Europe, anything like that, and it feels kind of strange to you and you don't really understand it, being able to do the same thing to your own cultural experiences, and really like place yourself, I guess, on the historical timeline, recognizing that the life that you lead, the experiences that you have, the opinions that you're formulating are all based on the culture that you were raised in. Not a fantastic explanation. I swear I've taught it better, but
I honestly, I got a picture of it, and that, that's really cool. I'm gonna look into it some more for sure. There actually wasn't a whole conversation about Gundam. It was just a mention about a video that Movies with Mark has. So you're good, Morgan.
You did not miss anything.
Turf, I know you probably want to go and get to bed and stuff because it's late in the Shadow Realm over there. So
it is, yes. But no, yeah, it's I don't know. Are you guys continuing?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I wanted to, I guess. What was I gonna do? Did I have any plans? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, I guess we can. I'm down to. I don't have anything else going on. I'm just trying to think of what we would occupy time with. I'm deathly afraid of like not having something to talk about.
No, I feel you. I'm definitely down to. I've still got like another 45 minutes to an hour, so I'm
okay.
I'm hanging out here, and I cannot stress enough how much I the entire reason I feel like that I communicate with people on this website is because I like to just like have conversations about this shit, you know. It's one thing to like make a video about it and then respond to comments, and it's another thing to actually be able to, you know, have a back and forth and whatever. But
That's the whole point of this stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good example. I think it's just like how Australians call each other the C word all the time, but like in America, that's like just a no word.
No, yeah, it's like, and it's like we have strong opinions or strong emotional reactions to things like that, despite the fact that it's like it's not that it's irrational or that it's wrong. It's that that's the context that we've been raised in, and to an extent, like even that is can still give you like really interesting insight on a person. Take like to be inflammatory about it, take like a slur or something. If aliens came down to Earth and they had, you know, their word for "and" was a slur in our language, well, an American saying that slur is communicating something very different than an alien saying that slur, right? Because like they have this different like, cultural context to it. And so I don't know, it's something that I think is kind of important in analyzing media. Both, I think, something that a lot of people who dismiss things as just like woke or, you know, too progressive or whatever need to learn, and also something that I think people who are criticizing that can get better at recognizing like where they're coming from and understanding the context that they're coming from. It's something that I see like lefties talking about, you know, like certain Southern traditions or whatever, where they're unambiguously based in racism and have that history, but because this, you know, I mean, to the extent that there's an element of truth to that, they're a California liberal or whatever, don't have the experience of growing up with it, so they don't really have the vocabulary to challenge why that is.
Sure.
You know,
No, I mean, grew up in the South and amongst races, so I definitely and you're right. There's not like a lot of you know, not to say that there's like I guess like, oh, I kind of get it with people that are coming at being a bigot from that perspective, but it's like I do feel like there should be specific type of effort made toward that type of person, as opposed to, you know what I mean, like because you're dealing with things that are just like rooted in their cultural identity, right? Like and that's why I don't know. I'm kind of burning out because I'm like my head's all over the place right now. But speaking of this, no, we kind of talked about it a little bit, I think, right?
I did a like a short or whatever on that. I assume talking about like them spreading that quote or whatever, that she likes to make men uncomfortable, and then it was in the context of a documentary about like acid attacks in Pakistan, and was like literally she was like, I like to make men uncomfortable in the hope that they'll learn and grow and recognize like why these beliefs are harmful. Like the most milquetoast like friendly like statement she could have possibly given.
Well, you know who else made a comment a lot like that was
but before this, I'll just say my goodbyes.
All right, man.
You cannot keep me trapped here, Dane.
I love to do it here.
Yeah, no, but just real quick, everyone who's watching this right now, go subscribe to Edgier Than Thou. Great channel. I like it a lot, and yeah, hope we have you back here soon.
Why, thank you. I would come back here. Yeah, anytime. I appreciate that.
It'd be great to see you back here someday. Anyways, it's been a pleasure. See you guys
later, man.
And have fun.
Have a good one. I'm looking for that short of yours that you talked about that, because I'd like to check that out. But
it was a fairly recent one, if that.
Couldn't have been that long ago. Buck Angel. Oh yeah, here he is. Okay, I was looking for the name, and the name wasn't. Yeah, but like Dan O'Bannon said a very similar thing about a little movie decades ago called Alien. You know, and the fact that they very intentionally designed the face hugger and the whole process of the xenomorph life cycle is very much intentionally designed to evoke, you know, sexual assault and forced pregnancy and things like that, to have, you know, because he wanted to make, you know, men squirm. Like, and of course this movie came out, there was a lot of discussion about women's rights, abortion stuff, and at that time of course there is again. But still, like, yeah, that was the whole purpose of the xenomorph doing what it does, is to, evoke that kind of thing. Like, oh, you're having this thing forced into you, and you can't, do anything to get rid of it. And now it's going to burst out of you. It's going to, that kind of thing.
God damn, remember metaphors?
Yeah, imagine that. Well, I mean, the whole reason I know all that is because I did a video like in 3 years ago or something now, where when it was announced that I think it's Noah Hawley is still supposed to be doing an alien-based show, and he had said something about it being, going to have some element of class criticism or whatever, and of course the chuds freaked out like, oh, it's going to be woke, and it's like, well, for one thing, the Alien films always had an element of class analysis, or like, commentary anyway. Like, you've got the in the first movie, they're truckers that are working for a mega corporation, and whenever the mega corporation decides that they want those truckers to bring this thing back to Earth, then suddenly the company robot, spoiler alert, is now directed to bring it back at all costs, including the costs of the lives of those truckers. There's some commentary there. The same thing with the second one, except it's more, I guess, company, corporate militarism, I suppose, is the way you could look at that one. It's always been there, and for them to act like it hasn't been is really bizarre. Except, they grandfather these things in, as I've said before. Like, if it was already quote unquote woke before they reached their political indoctrination, then it counts. It doesn't count, rather. So that's why you get Ripley doesn't count as strong female character, that whatever, even though there's nothing to distinguish her from a lot of other characters that exist these days that are women. And
I love the fact that in the case, like, totally, I don't know why I've not thought to use the term grandfathering it in, because that's totally what it is. Like, I've tried to communicate the same idea, and I just like didn't think of the correct vocabulary. But like, when you're watching a video about any of this sort of thing, you can pause it at the beginning and be like, they're going to mention Ripley, they're going to mention Sarah Connor. That's it. There you go. Like, that's going to be, those are going to be their two counterexamples. They have not seen a single other woman like that. Those are but I
mean, yeah. And Sarah Connor, I don't know, like, I mean, it wasn't really till like the very end of the first movie that she kind of like had some agency, I suppose. But like the second film, obviously she was a badass. And if that movie came out exactly like that, everything was exactly the same today, of course they would be freaking out. But yeah. Cynthia Rothrock, yeah. They don't ever talk about Cynthia Rothrock. You're right.
I'm trying to remember. I had something to say
Sorry.
on that. No, you're good. I'm like, I guess it's something that really interests me about this whole, like, about media analysis, and something that I think that I don't even think that just chud types have this wrong. I think that the average person is probably like not super ingrained to it. Is like the recognition that even if a piece of media doesn't have an intentional political agenda, the art that you're creating is expressing something that you think about the world. Like, you wouldn't be telling the story you're telling unless you thought there was something about it that spoke to you, or whatever, with the occasional exception being the completely community driven, or not community, committee written nonsense that we increasingly get. And to me, like, it's super interesting and worthwhile to start analyzing and thinking about those metaphors, and like having some sort of an interesting, like, having a conversation about it, not even necessarily like telling people that this is what this movie is about or whatever. I had a conversation with a friend recently where we were talking about, like, English classes do that in high school, where they'll just tell you, like, this is what the book is about, and you're just supposed to kind of accept it. And I don't think you necessarily need to do that. But even if, to take, what you were referring to, even if the stuff with Alien was not intentional political commentary, it's still evoking that image. It's still decades later. Like, there's something to talk about there. And I don't so much mind people disagreeing with my interpretation so much as I am somewhat frustrated by people opposing the concept of even having an interpretation.
Yes. So like I have I actually have a short, maybe I'll just upload that so we could check that out. It's a short clip from a longer video I was editing. But like, essentially there's a new in the comic book realm of things, there's a lot of discussion lately, especially about what writers are supposed to do, right? Like, so these writers are injecting themselves into the characters and stuff like that. It's like, that's literally what writers do. Like, what I
Fucking
mean,
Charles Dickens.
it doesn't make any sense that you would expect a writer not to put themselves into their writing, you know, and like all a person is their experiences and their perspectives. And yes, they can write a character that's fictional, and even most of the character is going to be something that they just make up whole cloth, but like there's no matter what going to be some element of that person, and you know, how they, even if they're writing the opposite, their character is the opposite from them, that is still informed by who they are as a person, right? Like it doesn't make any sense the way that they expect these things to go. But I've got that short of yours right here.
Chenoy, the director of an upcoming Star Wars movie, has been in the news lately for saying that she wants her Star Wars movie to make men uncomfortable. Except, did she say that? No. Obviously not. The actual quote is 8 years old and is specifically in reference to her documenting abuse like honor killings and acid attacks in Pakistan, where she made explicitly clear the point of her saying what she said was in the hopes that it would cause some men to introspect on their perspectives. Now, if you're a reactionary, this is probably still offensive to you because
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that is uncomfortable to them. Being introspective is like, you know, questioning their own thought processes and biases. That's extremely off-putting to a lot of people.
And I enjoy to an extent when stuff that I make kind of goes in the off in the algorithm in like areas that I'm not necessarily trying to appeal to, you know, like whatever, it pops off to Critical Drinker fans or whatever, and then there's like some sort of a conversation. I hate when that happens with my live streams because like I'm just like new to doing that, and two, it's there's more speaking off the cuff and stuff. But my talked about responding to some like Ryan Kinnell stuff, and I got a ton of responses from like fans of his where they were saying stuff like, I really wanted to hear your arguments, but then you said blank, and then I turned it off. And it's like a thing I didn't like, words that were not even spoken. And, you know, like
Right.
one person was like, your argument is just I'm gay and therefore I'm right. And I was like, I didn't, like, one, I'm not gay, and two, I didn't say anything of this. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's
you know,
ridiculous. Yeah, I mean,
like
how long
you
have
want to
been
gesture at it.
How long have you been making videos, just out of curiosity? Like,
Oh God. Well, I mean, technically I did a couple of stupid, like creationist, whatever responses, like several years ago, some of which is privated, some of which I didn't. Let's see here. 3 years ago, which I guess is probably closer to 4 now. Then the first thing that I did when I like stopped doing that, when I like came back, was a Critical Drinker response. That was when I first had like heard of this person.
Right.
And I remember, like, I recently went back and rewatched that, and I was like, there's some pretty good arguments that I made here. Holy goddamn. I recorded it. I have a window back here with like shitty blinds, and I was only recording off of my iPhone, didn't have like a decent microphone or whatever. And I didn't notice, even in editing, that like the blinds were going back and forth. So it was getting like randomly flashing with light. Whatever.
yeah.
Like, God damn. It was bad, but
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just so like you hear a lot of the same stuff, the same types of you know, attempts at deflection, you know, their justifications for, you know, why they shouldn't or aren't going to listen to your video or whatever. It's like, honestly, I hardly read comments after the first like 12 hours after an upload anymore, just because, you know, generally, you know, the people that are going to have anything insightful, even insightful criticism, you know, are going to comment around then. But after that, typically what will happen is I think that there's some hub somewhere where these people share content like ours. And
I definitely think that there's that's the case, because I noticed like one of the earlier Critical Drinker videos that I did, like 2 days or whatever after that was published, I noticed, you know, most my subscriber with the most subscribers is Rags. So I'm like, okay, well, like, yeah,
Oh, God.
that came from somewhere. But
yeah, Rags is a huge piece of shit, man. Like, God damn it, that guy sucks. And he's subscribed to us too, or he was our shared channel anyway. Last I checked, but yeah, he I don't want to get off talking about Rags, but nonetheless, there's just these handful of stock replies and deflections and you know, attempts at diminishing that I've seen so many times over and over again. But Yeah, back.
This
the
video
drop
made
here.
me a critical drinker fan. That's the one
Right.
that that's the one I see all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking way there's that many of you
I
that
think
have
it's
that exact same
they're
thought.
full of shit. Yeah, like there's a lot of performative bullshit that they say too, like where it's like, oh, I'd never heard of this channel until now. Now I'm gonna go check
Mhm.
them out, and it's like, right, okay, buddy, yeah, you're
It's like, I
gonna
believe the first 7 of you, but after a certain point, like, there's like,
it's
come
like,
on,
yeah,
come
I'm
on.
gonna. You're right, man. I shouldn't make videos criticizing this person anymore. That thank you for letting me know that I fucked up and I did the exact opposite of my, no, man.
Mhm.
They think that we talked about this with Pillar of Garbage too. It's like the ones that think they're so clever that if they just like use the right combination of words that they'll get you to delete your channel or something like that.
Mhm.
Those are always fun. Where it's like you can tell they're trying really hard to just discourage you from ever criticizing stuff that they like again.
Yeah, I keep a like I send a lot of comments and stuff that I get to friends of mine, because my favorite stuff that I get is when people start making predictions about like my personal life, and some of it is stuff that you couldn't really prove wrong, even if it's complete bullshit. They'll be like, oh, clearly you don't talk to your parents, and it's like, well, I mean, I do. During this live stream, my mother texted me, when the fuck are you coming home? But like, because I live an hour and a half away, but then like I get stuff, one person was like, stop making videos and go get an education. And I was like, well, shit, dude. Like, I don't know what you want from me. I'm like I can do 2 things at once. I don't know. But
Well, I mean,
they'll,
like,
like prophesy about my life or whatever.
right. The funny ones to me are like, when I'm talking about comics, and they'll be like, oh, you can tell this person's a comics tourist or whatever. And it's like, dude, I've literally been reading them as long as I can remember. I kind of learned to read with comic books. I would love to just bring somebody like that onto the stream and like, let's just do a quiz off. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you, I know more than you do. Like, it's pretty frustrating, honestly. But as far as this goes, Bob of the old ways, I have considered that. I do a Friday stream on my channel. We talked about it whenever we started this stream, but really Wednesdays at this time is we got Turf is in Denmark, Bob is over in Ohio, I'm in Oregon. This is just the window of time that works somewhat decently well for everybody. That's why Turf always leaves early, because it's like apparently like midnight or something for him. So yeah, it's if we could get a Friday counter stream going, I'd love to do it. But yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, finishing your video.
Action is kind of your kryptonite, but you should probably at least be angry for the right reasons. It'd be real nice if y'all could find an actual thing to get mad at, but in lieu of that, I will leave you with her words.
And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations, that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection.
Yep. Spot on. Now I hadn't actually seen that clip before. Now I'm actually more interested in her film, because growth is uncomfortable and sometimes painful. Self-reflection is awkward and makes us realize we don't just act perfectly all the time. So
to me, what interested me the most about her making a Star Wars movie was the fact that I get the impression that she's like a genuine believer in some set of politics. Like the fact that she, made her name like doing that, making political media, documentaries, whatever, is that like when we get a lot of stuff that's quote unquote woke and it's really bad, 99% of the time it's because like I do not believe for a second that the people who wrote it, or at least the people who signed off on it, actually give a shit about it.
Right.
They're trying to appeal to. I felt that way in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, when they wrote the most like generic goddamn dialogue for Scott's daughter to be like, I'm an activist, I have really strong beliefs. Not going to tell you that much about them, but
it's you're right. Like I always try to stress to people that like look, the concept of progressive or quote unquote wokeness in media, in fiction, is not inherently bad. There can definitely be bad representations of it, like there is anything. But like whenever, because people say to me, and this is one of the most valid things that I've gotten over the years too, is like, they're like, oh, you just think that these corporations using these progressive politics to make money, that's just okay with you? And it's like, well, I mean, that's my point, if that they're doing it cynically, no, I'm not a fan of that. But always corporations are doing things cynically. The thing is who are they hiring to actually create the content? And the people that write this stuff generally, like the example I like to give is currently in X-Men comics. And then over the last few years, there's been a hell of like an explosion in LGBTQ representation in X-Men comics. It's been great. And like they'd hired several queer female writers and artists and stuff like that, and you can tell, and it's like, because these are like fully fledged characters that just happen to be queer or whatever, and it's not done condescendingly. It's not done just like here's your woke token for this issue or whatever. It's good stuff. And so yeah, the creators generally by and large I do think care. But yeah.
And I guess like I just kind of adding on to that, I think that there are certain tells that you get when you're watching a movie that gives you kind of that impression. I guess the thing that I'm thinking of is regardless of anyone's opinions on the film The Last Jedi, the theme of things not always being what they seem is so deeply ingrained into like every freaking frame of that movie that it's it's so obvious to me that the person making this had a vision, had a thing that they wanted to do, and not just a check that they wanted to cash, and it's so interesting to me when I find creators and stuff that are going to be doing stuff like that, and I'm really excited for it. And that goes the same way, honestly, for conservative media. If I'm watching a piece of media that is made by a conservative, is even trying to push a conservative message, and I get the impression that this is a sincere person trying to make a story or tell deliver a message, even if I think that the thing that they're trying to communicate is completely heinous, I'm like, I feel like I could sit down and have a conversation with this person and like just shoot the shit, like
at least they've thought through what they're saying, and they probably have some kind of framework underneath it,
and they have beliefs. They believe things. I love it when people believe things. They have principles. It's great,
instead of just being like, 'cause the sad thing is about a lot of this woke shit, it's like these people are just they're victims of the algorithm. Essentially, they've allowed a social media algorithm that prioritizes thought terminating cliches and clickable sensationalist shit to just kind of write their worldview for them, and that's pretty sad when you think about it.
It's especially sad. What's that?
I was just gonna say, there's all this evidence of like these guys not always having held these views and stuff like that. So, it's cynical on the part of a lot of the guys that are making the content. Not all of them. I think some of them are legitimately, truly are, hardcore bigots. But I think some of them are definitely cynically using this stuff. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just thinking, like, it's especially sad when you see how generic so much of the content is. Like it's one of those things that I really do kind of want to examine more in depth or do some more studying on, which I've done a minor like literature review on some stuff kind of like this, but it's so generic, it's so plain. Like I watch there was a video and I did a response to it, no idea how well it holds up, that was on the Geeks and Gamers channel, where he was trying to like make the case there was someone in their community who had come out as trans and had like changed their pronouns, and he was trying to make a whole big show out of how we're being respectful to this person. And the video like opened with him not even like in full sentences, just being like, and pronouns in bio, that's dumb. We all agreed, no pronouns in bio. Pronouns in bio are cringe. And it's like, one, you're not communicating anything. Like everyone watching this already has an opinion on that, and this has not done anything to even remotely sway that. But then like, then he reads their message, and they're like, oh, and I used to go by she, her, and now I go by he, him. And he's like, we're going to be respectful of that. And I was like, so like, what's the, like sincerely, what is the logical through line to you? So it's okay for them to put it in a Discord message or a YouTube comment, but if it's in their bio, then it's really stupid. And like, I feel like I like watching that. I don't fully get into the headspace of being able to rationalize those two things as just like without thinking about it, just accepting it uncritically.
Yeah,
but I think that's something. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. Those two things are incongruent. It's weird. But like to your point earlier about talking about having a specific read on something, even if you disagree with it. That like a lot of my content, whenever I'm, it's kind of rooted in the foundational view. Like my tagline thing that I use is ambassadors, not gatekeepers. So like, why would you gatekeep something even if you aren't a fan of it? Like and this comes from being a kid who read comic books in the 90s when there was a lot of people reading comics, but still it was a outcast kind of medium. There definitely weren't big, the most popular movies in the world weren't based on comics then. And so like I just remember feeling like I'm reading these comics and I would try and get like a friend into it or something, and he'd be like, "Oh no, I'm not reading that." And I was just like, man, I just wish that somebody they would look into this and see how cool this shit is. And like now, the world we're in now, it's kind of surreal sometimes. We're to the point where we're past where everybody's loving these movies and stuff, and it's like now it's passe to love the MCU or whatever. And it's like, so I'm just trying to be thankful for that. I suppose try to be thankful for the fact that there's so many people that now do see the value in the stuff that meant so much to me, right? And so why would I like gatekeep that when even if it's something I'm not a fan of? I'd be like, or like specifically, like there's a specific comic or character or whatever. It's like, it's not my thing, but you might like it because blah, blah, blah. That's how I tend to operate. And instead of trying to just shut people out of things, but like, that's kind of what this is about. There's a new Ultimate Spider-Man comic book out, meaning it's like a alternate timeline from the regular Spider-Man Marvel Universe. The original Ultimate Universe was just a retelling from the beginning, essentially. This version is kind of inverted. So like this Peter Parker never became Spider-Man when he was a teenager. He's now in his 30s or so, late 30s even, married to Mary Jane. They've got a couple of kids. And he's generally he's kind of not happy with his life. There's something missing, right? Like something that he's not content about or whatever. And he gets presented with the fact that this timeline had been changed, that someone stopped the spider from biting him, that it should have bitten him whenever he was a teenager. And now he has the opportunity to choose to become Spider-Man as he's already an adult. And so we were talking about it, and somebody made this point on stream the other day, and this is kind of just exactly what we were talking about, I think. But I can see that if a so yeah, somebody had said that do I think that Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man is a metaphor for the transgender experience, considering Peter is dissatisfied and chooses to change his body? And it's not something I had considered at all. Trans person wants to read that into it, I can see how that would be a valid read for their experience, but I don't see that at all. And this just goes to show how these things are subjective, because if a trans person sees that in it, cool, then I can see how they would. I don't relate to that, so I don't like connect to it in that way. You could just as easily say that it is about spoiler alert for Ultimate Spider-Man #1, the new one. You could just as easily say that it's about being, middle-aged or older and as an adult and being dissatisfied with your life in general and deciding to do something, that everybody would think is crazy and just like, but might actually have some effect on, I could say this, I could say it is, to me, it actually, I haven't thought of this till right now, but like me choosing to do YouTube when I'm in my late 30s and never having done any kind of public speaking or anything like that at all before. And I'm just like, I feel like I can have some effect if I do this. I feel like this is kind of like where my life has led me, right? And then I started doing it. I could say it kind of relates to that. I mean, bodily autonomy, or just, life choices. It could go either way. Yeah, could be read as middle-aged and just deciding to get into shape for the first time. It really is about what you put into it, guys. Like I've nothing else. I hope I've stressed that enough on my channel, that like there's what's on the page, but that's only a portion of our experience. So, and the screen as well, page or screen. That's only a bit of it. There's a lot of it that we are putting into it and we don't even realize. I would never, just to be clear, I would never deny any trans person who felt that that's what, they're getting out of it. I would never that's literally ambassadors, not gatekeepers. Why the fuck would I try to take that from somebody? Why the fuck would anybody go, no, that's not valid. You can't fucking, that doesn't affect you. It's not your fucking experience with it. So just like, don't be so insecure with your connection to fucking Ultimate Spider-Man #1, the new one. that you can't allow someone else to have their own connection to it. That's really silly to me. I don't know if I'm nice, but I'm not cruel. I'll say that. So anyway, definitely kind of contradicting myself there at the beginning when I was like, I don't see that, but then like I see that, but like what I meant was I don't personally connect in that specific way to it, but and I didn't see it when I read it, but yeah, someone telling me that that's what they get from it, then that is valid as mine is. Like, if we all had the same exact experience with this stuff, it would be kind of boring, I think. I find a lot of interest in like, oh, you took this from that, and here's why I see this or whatever, and yeah, it just bothers me whenever people want to deny other people's experiences to stuff.
I definitely. Sorry, that totally made me think of. I have a paragraph about that in the Swiss Army Man script. Like about interpretations just like that, because people interpret that film as a metaphor for trans experiences too, which that is one of my favorite things that has like come out of recent discourse, is people like seeing those interpretations in media that like nobody was talking about. It's just like it's a whole new lens to analyze things, even if you don't relate to it. But yeah,
absolutely is. I mean, yeah, it's and another, like, speaking of comic books again, because I do that a lot, the X-Men is another great example. Like, more recently, it has been, in some cases, almost explicitly about LGBTQ experience and rights and whatnot, because that is obviously what is most prominent as far as marginalized communities these days, and the battle to keep or maintain or attain rights. Whereas like in the 60s, of course, it was seen as more of something about the civil rights movement. And that's why the X-Men are great. I'm not going to go off on a why the X-Men are great type of thing, but
I was going to say X-Men. Sorry, yeah.
No, I'm looking at this. You can't type in my chat. Huh. Okay. Because I have you have to be, I think, subscribed for 5 days or something like that. So.
I haven't been an X-Men comics person. I've read a fair few comics, here and there. I've been more interested in like the medium of film and in particular television. But X-Men is such an interesting one, without going on a whole humongous rant about it, just because X-Men is one of those allegories for all these different like civil rights experiences. And then people have the sort of criticism of X-Men of it being like, well, okay, there is, mutants do have this certain like element of danger to them. And so some people like interpret that as like, oh, so then it's bad activism or it's bad allegory. And then like, when in reality, like, I just think that's a really interesting lens to analyze the story from. You're right. It's not a perfect analogy, and I don't think it's trying to be.
Well, but like that, it bothers me whenever people like, and this is something on the left that happens, and I'm like, what are you doing that for? It's like, everything is a bad analogy if you take it far enough, right? Like, if something is, I don't know, like the X-Men, for example, it's like, well, trying to think of what it was that I was talking about not long ago that was literally about the X-Men being an analogy for queer people, and it was like somebody was taking that to really a pretty extremely granular, detailed kind of thing, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're taking a lot of the details of the specific comics to a very specific place, and yeah, it kind of breaks down after a while, because like it's an allegory. It's if it was a one-to-one thing, then it would just be that thing, right? Like, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something that I to the extent that I can like to push back a little bit against in kind of progressive circles is, XYZ like piece of media is problematic in some way, shape, or form, doesn't mean that piece of media is bad, or that it's, this like pernicious whatever. Like, it means there's something to talk about there. There's conversations to have. For all of my kind of resentment of common sense media, because anytime I click on their takes or their they're like, is this appropriate or whatever, it's the most insane shit I've ever read. I enjoy the fact that they have that like section at the bottom where they're like, if you're going to watch this with your kids, what kind of conversations could you have? Because the portrayal of stuff in media is not where the experience stops.
Right.
And I
it's
definitely
a jumping off point. It's a conversation starter and stuff like that. Like I have another video. I'm not sure if I'll upload this or not because it actually is specifically criticizing a leftist YouTuber who I actually love, Jesse Ginder, and barely criticizing because like she had a conversation about the show For All Mankind, and like overall, like I love her opinions on this stuff, and just like with this new season of the show specifically, she kind of did what I was just talking about, where she takes it to a very specific read and then drills in on it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't. And then to her, it becomes like, now the show is bad. And why are the creators doing this? And like, kind of like heaping this fault on them for it. And I'm just like, I don't see the need to do that. I feel it. And it's because basically the show isn't going, and this is very common on the left too, because a piece of media doesn't essentially kill capitalism, in the lore, kind of thing. Like, and they're like, oh, well, it's basically saying that we need capitalism to do space exploration. It's like, I don't think the show's saying we need it. I'm saying that that's just it's more just this is the conditions of the lore. And like, I don't know that it's condoning it. It's just not doing the specific work of like saying, looking at the camera and saying capitalism bad. We can't, I don't know. It's something I've gone on rants about before. Similar thing with like people who, there's a video that I want to talk about at some point where it talks about the Avengers being the status quo defenders or something like that. And it's like, look, the Avengers are the guys that fight the big alien guy that gets the space rocks and stuff like that. Like if you're going to want somebody like that. They don't fight to maintain the status quo. They just don't fight to overturn the status quo is what I think you're kind of pissed off about. Anyway.
I think that's kind of a weak spot that I think a lot of folks have. And I mean, I understand it to an extent just because like I saw there's a YouTuber, he's like a historian, I think. I don't really watch, I've watched his stuff in the past, but I don't really anymore. Called Mr. Beat, not Beast, Beat. And he tweeted something that was like, stop dehumanizing Trump supporters, which is, I mean, obviously like that's going to get clicks. That's going to get people, outrage, responding, whatever. And there were a lot of responses from people that were like, we'll do that when they stop dehumanizing us. And I 100% understand that like response. And I don't like fault a person for not personally wanting to engage in like de-radicalization or stuff like that themselves. Like I get that one, which randomly I'm shilling for a video that's coming out tomorrow of mine, because that's like very similar to what we're talking about. But I guess I worry about the attitude of, oh, this has some bad label ascribed to it, therefore it's just a bad thing, full stop. And I don't think that it's necessarily the same thing when you're talking about like Trump supporters versus what was it, Outer Wilds?
For All Mankind.
For All Mankind. I don't know why I said Outer. That's a game. I don't know why I said that.
This is kind of what we were talking about. I think you were actually there for the conversation. Ivor, I'm not sure how you say it, but I don't think it is pro-American propaganda necessarily. I think it is just it's like this the difference between a show presenting something and then endorsing it, and I don't see endorsement as much as like, here is an alternate reality take of what would be like if this one thing had happened differently in the space race, and then the space race continued on, right? Like, yes, America is the thing that we're following, but it's I don't know, I don't feel like that's inherently like propaganda for it. And maybe that's just me, but Chariot, you have a really good habit of taking what I'm saying and then saying it with better words than I said it. So I value that. Appreciate it. Anyway, I think Chariot had said something about George Lucas. Was that you earlier? Because there's this clip that's pretty amazing.
Interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it, the good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the time? Yes. So it was a very anti-authoritarian, very kind of 60s against the man kind of thing, nested
Or-
deep inside of a fantasy.
Or a colonial, you know, we're fighting the largest empire in the world.
Right.
And we're just a bunch of hayseeds in coonskin hats who don't know
right.
nothing.
That's right.
And it was the same thing with the Vietnamese.
Yep.
The irony of that one is in both of those, the little guys won.
Right.
And the big, highly technical empire,
The English Empire. Right?
the English
British
Empire, the American Empire, lost.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that tweet on the screen has to do with it, though. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. In the
No,
future, I'd probably edit that out, but
There's actually that edit is from a friend of the channel, Little Movie Perp. He actually used to be a co-host of my streams. But yeah, very good stuff.
God, yeah, no, it's so difficult to engage with some of that stuff because it's like there becomes this label that you ascribe to a piece of media, and then nothing else matters as a result of it. I mentioned in a live stream that I think I gave Echo like a 7 out of 10. I don't know why I say I think. I know I gave it a 7 out of 10. I remember this. I gave it a 7 out of 10. That was like my kind of rating of that show. And I got people who were pissed the fuck off that I rated it that highly. And one guy that was like, I can understand like unreasonably liking things. I like it's indefensible, but I like Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which is infinitely better than Echo, by the way. It's like,
what?
One, what the fuck are you talking about? Are we watching the same movie? But two, this like, it's like literally, okay, so Echo is woke, it's diversity, whatever. Never mind the fact that every single element of Maya's identity in that show is directly tied to the story in such a way that you could not tell the same story without those demographics. But like, it's woke. And so not only is it unreasonable to like it, but also it's more unreasonable to like it than it is to like every other unreasonable thing. So like, yes, we acknowledge that loving Revenge of the Fallen is pretty stupid, but like it's on a whole nother level of stupid to like, this woke thing.
It's a better stupid than,
it's a better
than the
stupid.
woke thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I'm not that stupid. Yeah, that's silly. Perp, generally he just has scheduling conflicts, I think, and then he also kind of didn't want to do the look, when Perp came on and started coming onto the show a couple of years ago, it was because I was doing this stuff by myself, and he like felt bad for me. And then the initiative thing kind of happened, and he was like, "Oh, cool, I can be a free agent now." So it was just pity he was on the show in the first place. So, he might come back on sometime soon. We'll see. And yeah, that really points to the ignorance of the perspective of people like Drinker, because writers are constantly trying to capture our current cultural moment. Yeah, it's bizarre because they're often like, oh, George's vision, Star Wars theory in particular is like George's vision. George is like, okay, so then you're cool with everything George Lucas just said, I assume? No? All right, well then.
Yeah, what are your hot takes on Ho Chi Minh? Like,
right. And then they'll do that with freaking Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek too, and it's like, do you not know what Roddenberry was about?
It's bad enough with Star Wars. With Star Trek, it was insane to me because I didn't grow up on Star Trek. I watched episodes here and there, but I started watching it, watching The Next Generation a few months ago. It's been slow going, but I'm watching the first few episodes, and it's already like kind of a comfort show for me just because of the fact that it's like, oh man, people are saying stuff that I've been thinking all this time. But also like there are times where I swear to God, Captain Picard is like turning to the screen, like facing the audience, shaking you by the shoulders and being like, extreme conservatism is bad. Like how do you not, it's like, it's the cutest shit I've ever seen. And I love it. Like, it's fantastic, but partially for that and partially for other reasons. But like, I don't get it. I cannot comprehend how you are engaging with this piece of media.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. It
what
really
do you
is.
like about it, if not that? Like what other, I don't know, maybe they're just in it for the sound effects.
That must be it. Like, I mean, I have to imagine that they probably watched like The Next Generation when they were kids, right? When it's like, I did too. And the memories that I have of watching it as a kid are not necessarily the explicit messaging or anything like that. I remember the cool moments of I am Locutus of Borg and fire and like the one of my favorite episodes, which is cause and effect, the Enterprise exploding a bunch of times and all that stuff. But like, so I didn't really like, I don't recall the memories of the stuff like you're talking about, which now that I watch it as an adult, of course I see that stuff and it's always been there, but like, it's like they didn't watch it again since they were kids. So they're just remembering certain things. And then I don't know, it's bizarre. Have you noticed that there's a YouTuber for every aspect of like fiction media that's covering all bases are covered with them, where they got
Oh yeah, no, it's all over the place. Like it almost surprises me sometimes when I'll be searching for stuff on whatever piece of media, and then like I get 7 different chud channels or whatever on that are all covering the same thing. And like most of them are on like the incredible, like low tier, just like screaming bitch at the camera, like that kind of thing. But
right.
Which,
yeah, I mean, it's sad to say, but like guys like Jeremy Griggs or something, like these are the guys that are actually a little bit more media savvy and probably somewhat intelligent compared to a lot of the guys that don't make it to the upper echelons or whatever. But yeah,
dude, I swear to God, I would love to talk to anyone in that sort of a sphere and like have a conversation. I very nearly, and I am not, to be clear, putting this person in even remotely that category. I very nearly had a conversation with TJ Kirk, the amazing atheist that fell through.
I did have a conversation with TJ.
You did?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Like I was, it was like pretty soon after he kind of like he went on Vosh, and he was like, it was clear that his politics had changed. And yeah, he was still being problematic here and there and stuff, but like at that point he was being explicitly pro LGBTQ, explicitly anti MAGA and all this stuff, and I was like, that's interesting because he's the guy who essentially popularized the anti-SJW content. And so I was like, if I could get him on and like talk to him about his kind of journey, right, like from where he was to where he's at now, maybe that could get through to some people. I don't know. And
I might poke him at some point, but
I asked him, and he to my surprise, he was willing to do it. And it almost kind of seemed to fall through there at the end. There was some messaging, we weren't communicating very efficiently. And then he came on, and it was cool. We talked for, I don't know, about an hour or so. That video is up on my channel. And yeah, it was pretty cool. But of course now he's pissed me off anew lately. But
yeah, I don't know. I would love to have a conversation with someone in that sphere. I feel like it's one of those things where you want it to be like a one-on-one kind of thing, because as soon as you get like 7 different, all of their big panel or whatever, I don't think it would be very enlightening. But like just to like to really challenge things in a way that necessitates like a response, my guess is that a lot of them would kind of walk back a lot of stuff in conversation without it necessarily actually changing, how they engage with it in the future. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I swear to God, I very much like to talk to people like that. I've had a couple conversations with content creators. One of them that I'm not going to mention because I do not like such a disgusting piece of shit. Like I don't want anyone even remembering who they are, but like, yeah, no, it's just.
Well, what can you tell me off stream? Because I'm kind of curious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Just one of those things where like they keep getting banned off of everything and then coming back. And so it's like, okay, I don't really want to like help the return, but,
thoughts on Jarbro? I mean, I have a video about I talked about Jarbro in a video recently. And if you're looking for video or streams with Perp, I don't know if I have any of those up anymore, but there's plenty of videos that are cut from streams with Perp. So like if you go back to, yeah, right here, pretty much, because he came on, I think, he came on after this debate with that Phantom Menace guy. He's in this video. And then, yeah, he's in a good bit of these. This is where I started doing the silly, little avatars, the rant Sona. Yep, he's around a lot.
Okay, I better get
You
to
don't have
work.
to. Okay, yeah.
I would like to. Yeah.
No,
I'm like,
I thought you were responding to this person's begging you to tell them who it is. that you
oh
were
no,
about,
sorry, bestie.
Not gonna do it.
Not someone you've heard of, I'm sure. Like somebody who you might have been tangentially familiar if you were like a libertarian on Instagram or something, but like not like a big popular person.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
You know, I didn't send links sooner in the stream. Like we kind of just got into talking about shit, and I lost track of everything. So, but yeah, hopefully you'll come on again. I mean, you're welcome anytime. Essentially, we do this every Wednesday. I have a stream on Friday. Every Friday pretty much, and then we have a podcast on Sunday. Me and Morgan, who's in chat right now. But yeah, definitely keep up the great content, and
I appreciate it. Thank you. I keep doing stuff like this. I will absolutely, if I get if I have free time, I will talk pretty much whenever. Cool. It's kind of my favorite thing, but
awesome. Yeah. I'm dealing with some stuff behind the scenes right now, but I'm
hey,
trying to get my.
Sorry, Danimal in chat. Yeah, we went on Sitch and Adam one time. That's not who I'm talking about, to be clear. I'm not.
You know Danimal.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I know Danimal. I mean, well, know him as well as I can know somebody on the internet, but that's interesting. All right. Cool shit. Well, yeah, have a good one, and thanks for being on.
Yeah, you as well. Take care.
Subscribe to Edger Than Now. I'll grab that link again. Take care. Jarbo is interesting because he had to go through a complete. Yeah, I don't know that he went through a complete ego death. I mean, yeah, I would chat with Keffels. I have spoken to Keffels, I don't want this to sound like anything that's not, but I spoke to Keffels in DMs once. It's not anything other than that, though. No, like Keffels, I mean, I wish that sometimes she would not lean into being the drama farmer kind of thing. But generally, whenever she does talk about stuff, she talks about it in ways that I tend to agree with. And yeah, I just don't watch her content that much, to be honest. So I know that like recently there was some shit going on with her and frickin' Xander Hall. From all I could tell, it seemed like Xander Hall was very much kind of in the wrong in that whole situation, but I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she just did why would you do that? I don't know. It seems maybe she's got some justification for it that makes sense, but I haven't heard that yet. Has anybody watched that interview? The Chris Chan one, I mean. Dane and I, what? What did we do? Me and you. All right, so you guys want to see a bit of a video that I'll probably upload later in the week. Got 7 minutes left till we hit 3 hours, so yeah, I'll give you a little teaser of this. Check this out. This is someone posted about having gone to their local comic shop and found a copy of Isom #1 for $2 in the bargain bin. Weird way to throw away trash. Yeah. It's not bub related. No, that stuff is coming, I promise. So it was at a comic book store, presumably because someone bought it and then decided they didn't want it, and it was not worth much to them, and So they sold it probably in a collection with other comics to a comic shop, because a lot of comic shops will buy your collection from you. And then that shop turns around and prices those comics and puts them in the bargain bin. And there you go. $2. Baseline $35. $35 just for the regular comic. But we're gonna, hear some more stuff about Isom in this video. So check it out. Over on Rippaverse Detractors subreddit. Let's lie to our customers again, because why not? They don't give a shit. All right, so the Alpha Core Day 71 sales. This is by, I believe, Chris Bacon, who's just been. Well, hold on, Reggie. Did Chris Chan start Kiwi Farms? Because that's what you're implying here. It's kind of weird. Killing it with keeping track of the numbers over at the Rippaverse. So much so that they kicked him out of the community because the numbers, the factual numbers, were just too upsetting for them. They couldn't fucking handle it. And they didn't like somebody reporting them on a daily basis. So the Alpha Core Day 71 sales caught his attention, to say the least. He went back and reviewed after assessing the inventory to make sense of it. I've written a couple of previous pieces about the Rippaverse lying to their customers about product availability, but this time it was so blatant and with the product that you would think the people who bought it would want to remain limited. But no, these motherfuckers are seeing a stalled campaign and are trying to prop it up at the end. I told you all before, you've been duped and you have been had. Now, if this doesn't push it over the edge for you, then just admit to yourself that you are part of a cult and save yourself the time of trying to justify these actions to yourself, and just say to yourself, self, I am willfully ignorant, and I do not care about the indisputable facts. I will do what I'm told when I'm told to do it, and I will buy whatever I'm told to buy. So, an email/tweet went out about these CGC signature books. Let's focus on these Isom 2 books. Hey, Rippaverse. As has been hinted at on live streams, after accounting for covered damaged casings and receiving the associated replacements from CGC, we have small quantities remaining of CGC Signature Series copies for Alpha Core number 1, covers A, B, C, and D. Whoa! But it gets even better. After assessing the inventory on the Alpha Core number 1 books, we did the same for Isom number 2, and are happy to announce we also have a handful of CGC Signature Series Isom number 2, covers A, B, C, and D. This is a fantastic opportunity for anyone who missed out on either slab books the first time around. On either slab book. Please note that no specific grade is ever guaranteed. However, your CGC books are sent directly from CGC Signature Series, so their authenticity is. Thank you all to our collector fans. Act fast, because these won't last. So, apparently after assessing the inventory, they were happy to announce that they have a handful of CGC Isom 2 cover A, B, C, and D that were found in the bowels of the warehouse. Yay, you gullible motherfuckers. Now, this is where lying meets fuck the customer. Again, I thought these books had all sold out. Is the Rippaverse inventory system really this bad? And again, none of these should have been available after the end of the Isom 2 campaign to begin with. So, right here, Isom number 2, CGC Signature Series. Meaning by, for anybody that's not aware, meaning it's signed by Eric July, I presume. Signed and graded, sold out. Cover D, sold out. Cover A, sold out. Cover B, sold out. Now let's go back in time, because the internet is forever. But before we get going, let's preface it with this, because these figures will be important as we move forward. This is the CGC census for Isom 2. This is from the CGC, for anyone not familiar with CGC. They are a company, one of two, primarily, really the most prominent one, that grades comic books. Meaning, they take it and they go, oh, it's in this level of condition. It's in good shape, bad shape, medium shape. Those aren't actually the types of shapes that they give it, but they rank it on a scale of 1 to 10. Almost nothing gets a 10. Pretty much any brand new comic fresh off the fucking printer is going to get like a 9.8 generally. Like I have right here next to me, I have Nova number 1, signed by Addie Granoff, who did the cover art for that series. This was right after the Annihilation comic whenever Nova got fucking god moded, went from a C list to just fucking god tier character, and it's signed by him. It's a signature series as well. It's graded at 9.4. So very good condition, just not the best. There might be some like little white flaking in the spine or something like that. I have no idea what it is that made them grade it that way, but nonetheless. So you can go to their website if you're a member and sign in, and and I don't know if it costs to be a member. I really don't. I might be able to just join. But you can see how many books they've graded. I also have, I'd probably say I have more close to 2,000 of comics, and I have 2 that are graded. And know that I'm not sure exactly what you mean here, but it seems like you're saying they have to be good collectors comics to grade them. If that's what you're saying, you are wrong. You can get anything graded and slabbed of any issue that they have graded. So here you've got Isom, issue number 2, first appearance of all this bullshit. Campaign exclusive, blah, 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 blah. There are 0 mint conditions. There are 10. So that's like mint. 9.9 is also mint, I suppose. Yeah. So as you can see here, the point we're trying to look at is that there are 1,687 total graded copies of Isom number 2. Okay. Well, that's pretty impressive, right? I didn't know there was that many. Honestly, that's a lot of comics, I guess. It's not anywhere near like, the guy wants to talk like he's competing with Marvel and DC or some bullshit. And it's like, well, when you're even selling, I guess he sells like the first campaign, he sold something like 50,000 comics. The second one, he sold a little bit less, and then it's dwindling. But okay, so keep that number in mind, 1,687. Okay, so keep that number in mind, 1,687, because when this was promoted, the campaign, this is Isom number 2, signed and graded, signed by Eric July, blah, 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 blah. Encased in CGC with their gold signature. That's literally not what it is, man. That's not what it's. Yeah, I'm sure there are people that do it for that reason, but it's not for that. Comic books can be worth money. Comic books can be worth a lot of money, depending on what comic books and era, especially that we're talking about. It's not just for showing off, although that is a good reason to do it. Like the 2 that I have, I'm very fucking proud of that I have those. I have that Nova number 1 that I mentioned in there, and then I also have Ghost Rider number 1, the 90s reboot relaunch with the Dan Ketch Ghost Rider, which is a comic that was very formative to me as a kid, and so I love that comic series. And yeah, proudly display those though. Signature series label, guaranteed at least a 9.6. No more than 1,600 copies will be available for purchase. Wait a second. What was that number that we were just looking at again? Let me make sure, zoom in, make sure we're fucking really getting this shit, okay? 1,687? Isn't that more? I think that's more. I think that's more than 1,600. Do you have evidence of this? Now, I might be more inclined to believe you if I didn't have all these other examples of Eric July lying, just like, full stop, got evidence of him lying, right? It's a vibe, huh? Yeah, that's fair. Hey, you admitted it. I might be inclined to just go, yeah, that's a good explanation for it. But why didn't he just say that? Why did they act like, oh, we just like accidentally lost some in the warehouse or whatever? And like they're coming up with all this bullshit to say that they just happened to find a few more, right? And it just happens to be at the end of, I get what you're saying. He over-ordered, right? Accidentally or what? Like, I don't know. The point is that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because he guaranteed to early adopters of the campaign. This is part of the campaign, the campaign itself, and like getting in on that campaign is that this will be limited. And the reason that they do that is because these collectors are trying to get a hold of these comics because they're going to be guaranteed limited. The reason that comics can be worth anything in the first place is because they are limited to, the print run. So if he's saying there's only going to be 1,600 of these, period, graded, signed, slabbed, as they call it, that's telling investors, collectors, oh, I need to get one of those because I know for a fact that it's never going to be any more than 1,600 of these. FOMO, exactly. Thank you. It's FOMO. Artificial FOMO. Yes. So really, it doesn't matter what the cause was. Maybe he over-ordered. Maybe he had some extras because he knew some would break or something like that. You're right, Philip. That's true. Look, yes, there's some people who are, give a shit about this stuff and they want to collect these or whatever. And I don't believe they're going to be worth anything. But like, you know what? We might do some live investigation here real quick. Just give me a minute and we might do that. Well, I mean, the strategy in the 90s was at least that they didn't lie about how many copies they were printing in the 90s, though. Yeah, they didn't lie in the 90s. They definitely made more comics and got people to buy them in a short amount of time. We're buying a shitload of comics for variant covers and fancy covers and all that stuff, and then suddenly that stopped, which damn near killed the industry. But yeah, this is an attempt at recreating the vibe of the 90s, the boom, but also lying about it and creating a artificial, inorganic scarcity, so that more people are be inclined to buy it, thinking that it's going to be a fixed amount of copies, and then it not being that, and then just because the campaigns haven't been doing as well, because the Albacore tuna book only crossed like $1 million. I don't know, not too long ago. It's a grift. It's a very obvious fucking desperate move to make money whenever he feels like he hasn't been making what he thought he was going to. Yeah, it's possible, sure. It doesn't matter. He should not be selling any more of these ever. Because
respect the customer.
Weird. That seems incongruent. Does it not? Yeah, respect the customer, right, Eric July? Respect them by fucking lying to them to get their money, you stupid piece of shit. What do you have to say about that, Eric July?
Okay, you the big bad booty daddy.
I know, you goddamn right I am. Goddamn right. You know what? I mean, like, I'm not even trying to shit on sneakerheads or anything, but like, I wouldn't do that. I don't, whatever. But like, it's fine. Shoes are one thing, but like, I think it's a different thing to have comic books, like prizing those and like putting them up on the wall and stuff like that, because there's at least an experience like in there in that comic book. Whereas like if you're just buying some shoes just because they look cool, it's like, okay, they may look cool, but is there like a really substantive human experience that you can have with those shoes? I don't know. Maybe so. Yeah. Well, I mean, they the grift is that that comics are all bad now, and they're all bad because of wokeness, and they're all bad, and the comic book industry is doing badly. Nothing is selling because everybody hates this shit. That's the grift. The grift is all based on the woke claim, like the big lie, so to speak. Oh yeah, I was going to show you guys it's because a lot of people hadn't heard of Swiss Army Man, so I was going to go ahead and show a little bit of that. By the way, is that doing the thing, the echo thing? Yeah, I mean, he literally can't present anything as a fault. Like, you will never, ever, ever hear Eric July say, "Yeah, man, that was a bad move on my part," or I was mistaken," or anything like that, because as classic narcissist. Thank you. Organized chaos. Is that how you say that? Hey, man, welcome to the show. This is the Shillcast. I don't know if you've heard of us before. We do this every Wednesday. I hope you'll come back next time and check it out. But yeah, that is a Swiss Army Man. Let me find the part where he's literally riding him as he's farting across the ocean. It's pretty amazing. Like, Daniel Radcliffe was like, I don't want to be associated with Harry Potter for the rest of my life, and like nothing but Harry Potter. I got to do some stuff that really gets me out of that whole thing. And so here he goes. Yeah, I finally watched the Weird Al movie not long ago. It was really good. I enjoyed the shit out of it. Big Weird Al fan. Yeah, I have not seen Guns Akimbo. I haven't seen Miracle Workers either. It was a good show, Lucifer. I would recommend watching it, even though we are no longer going to be live for long at all, because we had Edgier Than Thou as a guest. It was just me and Turf Nation for most of it, or part of it, because we're the only two hosts of this show. It's just us. And then Edgier Than Thou came on. They're excellent guests. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good takes. Yep. Yeah, he's literally incapable of making any move, any choice that is not maximizing profit for Eric July. True facts. All right. Well, you know what? I think that's gonna wrap her all up, as the stranger says in the Big Lebowski. Respect the customer, guys. That's what matters here. Okay. Right. Yeah, we're the only I mean, it might as well be called the Dane and Turf and Nobody Else show, right? Like, let's just call it that. Yeah, first time watcher, first time commenter, organized chaos. Haha. I have not seen that. I might have to look that up real quick. Let me see. In the meantime, check this out.
People who say, hey, I want a choice on Israel, we're like, I don't know if I'm voting for a Democrat this year. Earn my vote.
Again, stop with the fairy time bullshit. If all of these people somehow magically coordinated, listen, over here in reality, if some of these people all magically coordinated, if some of these people all magically coordinated, and they all decided on a
Okay, so Ivor, this is not a real leak of the costume. So that was not a real thing. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yes, this shit. If this isn't for you, that's okay. You don't need to watch it or comment on it. But there are people that this what is said here applies to, and it's a message that needs to be heard more.
on a single wedge issue.
Because it's a fucking online debate.
If they all decided on a single wedge issue to shift their vote one wedge issue to another candidate who would have to be developed and organized and funded and promoted entirely on this wedge issue, they would then have to have more people voting for them than the entire unified Republican Party. Ergo, what you're talking about has never happened, cannot happen. You are talking about fantasy bullshit. You're not happy with how tedious reality is. You are not brave for throwing up your arms in the air. You are not brave for throwing your arms up in the air, ignoring reality, and only saying you'll lift a finger off or lift your ass off the seat if some implausibly, impractical, historically unprecedented shit happens. No political analyst would ever say would happen, but you're like, only for this will I, politics king, get out of my seat and do shit. You're not special. And no, you are. You're special in a class sense. You're more privileged than the people liable to suffer. If this country goes under, I can leave. I'm rich. But there are millions of people in this country who not only don't have that privilege, but they work tirelessly to put the effort in where you think there is no point. Your day for work.
Civility in politics is fucking overrated, man. Civility in debates, I mean, yes, it can definitely get really messy and gross and stupid, and people are being, absurdly irrational and stuff. I actually think that generally what's happening right here is, I think TJ believes in what he's arguing for, which is stupid. I also believe that Vosh really believes in what he's arguing for, and he actually understands the issues. But I mean, I'd rather have people passionately, making their case than being polite out of fear of offending somebody or whatever. And it's just, civility is used a lot to. It's often used to shut down dissent. It's used to shut down criticism. It's used to shut down often marginalized people that are, have a commentary on an issue. Women, black people, people of color, queer people, civility is most often used by those with, hegemonic power to shut those people down. You're not being civil. We covered months ago, there was those couple of black guys in the House in, I forget what state it was in, but civility politics and the cries of, civility were being used against them, despite the fact they weren't doing anything uncivil. They were just expressing dissent to what was happening at the time. And yeah, just civility for civility's sake is not a good thing. Civility, being civil whenever you're in a conversation with someone who is actively engaging with what you're saying and listening and stuff like that, that's a good idea. I would say that's a good reason to be civil, but I'm not going to debate you. And if you're, civility politics is the polite death. Yeah. Tone policing. Absolutely. Yeah. Hillary ran on civility. True. Yeah. I mean, whenever you've got people who don't value civility, being civil to those people is just essentially, you might as well just not debate them. You might as well not argue your case. You might as well just go, I give up. Because at a certain point, you do have to, for pragmatic reasons, you have to fucking fight fire with fire, so to speak. Fuck yes. We got another one, boys. I need to have a fucking, a drop for this where it's beep, beep, beep. We got one. Because I got Greg, I think. Got you.
Is not at the election booth. Your day for work is 4 years before.
Politician to have to earn the vote of a voter. That's not unprecedented. That's
Quit
literally politics
whining that
101.
you're not being catered to. You have it better than 90% of the people on this
We're
planet.
not talking about me personally being catered to. We're talking about the huge block of people who oppose the genocide going on in the Gaza Strip
and
to be heard.
And they're doing and they're doing work, and their lives will not get any easier if they just don't participate.
If those politicians have to spin on that issue to change on that issue in order to secure those votes.
You're just speaking for them. You're privileged. You're privileged and arrogant, and you're angry, and you're using them as a shield. You're using them as a shield.
So of course these people would have a huger incentive than ever to
You're
want
hiding
to win.
behind them. The math doesn't change. The math.
The point that I don't like about the TJ's thing here is that because like it's a big gamble to be so arrogant about, right? Like he's being way too confident over if everybody just withheld their vote, threatened to withhold their vote from Biden. If he doesn't change his, do something about Israel. So, I mean, for one thing, what can Biden do? If Biden were to say, Israel's fucking doing a genocide, fuck Israel, do you think Israel's going to go, oh, yeah, you're right, we're going to not do our genocide anymore? No. Then we've just got to, like, think about, like, he's not thinking about the actual consequences of these things. Yeah, that's true. I might look into that on Friday on the show because being someone from Texas, there's concerning things happening down there. But the guy in the chair is TJ's brother, Scotty. He's basically just like a vestigial TJ who every once in a while goes, yeah. He doesn't really have much to offer. The other guy, though, Paul Zigo, he's a big, stupid shit face, dumb fuck. I mean, like he's God, he's a fucking dipshit. But yeah, there's no reason to think that there's any pragmatic path forward with what TJ is talking about, which is like if we just everybody was abstains from voting unless Biden changes. Like, okay, but then what if he doesn't? Then what? Then what? Do you have a solution for that? Do you have a way to protect the just almost certain genocide that would happen to trans people in this country? It's already essentially the conditions are made for it now. But there are a few laws that have been held back, and there are certain things that are in place that are preventing things from going any further right now. But democracy would be done, man. Like I believe that. I believe that another Trump administration would be the end of whatever flawed democracy we've had here, which it has been that flawed, but it's also been a democracy. And this is it's just really silly and short-sighted and arrogant to think that strategy is viable to. Oh, God damn it! Hold on, Gordy's fucking scratching at the door. I'll be right back.
Doesn't change for you or for me,
Democrats
for nobody.
Can't win unless people who are against the genocide still vote for them.
Want the world to get better, you do the work between the elections, and during the election you make the best choice, and then you get your ass back to work.
You want a raw tough guy? Then take it raw.
You, like me, spend a lot of our time whining online. That's our jobs. But the difference between you and me is that I don't think I'm special for my abstemiousness from the process that other people have lived and died and bled for, trying to build a world comfortable enough that we could be dipshits in a computer chair. You can do the work. You have to do the work. You do not have a right to complain and pretend that you are smarter for keeping your hands off the work.
Why are you people who are bleeding and dying right now, and we want to vote for the party that's allowing it to
happen? The people who
are
bleeding and dying right now, the most likely people to bleed and die, the poorest people in this country, those people vote Democrat. The poorer you are in this country, the more likely you are to vote Democrat, because in spite of the fact that your average American, poor or rich, is a hard, a significant proportion of people understand if you are poor in this country, there is a difference between living under a Democrat and living under a Republican, and you are trampling over that and the work that other people have made, the sacrifices. Do you think that winning is the hard part of politics? Losing is the name of the game. It always has been for every group all the time ever. Most of life is learning to deal with compromise.
Yep. Basically, right now we are living on the hope that in the last 4 years, 3 years, I suppose, since the last election, that the same general amount of people who realized that we cannot allow a second Trump administration still fucking hold that view and are enough to actually get out and vote. And that's not a confident, it's not a very comfortable thing to be relying on, but yeah, I mean that's why I clipped this, because this is like fucking Vosh, peak Vosh, and he's you know, we talked about it the other night on the Fatcast, but like I used to say that, like, man, I feel like once Vosh is a little older, he will have outgrown some of his lesser impulses, and that I think he's going to be pretty goddamn awesome once he kind of gets past certain things, and I think he's getting there right now. He's like right there, where all you know, his understanding of things is more robust. He's not leading with his arrogance as often. You know, of course, he did drop the R slur in there. Thankfully, it was bleeped out, but yeah. Yeah, you guys really should check out Project 2025. I'm willing to bet that we'll do a stream about it. We should do a stream about it at some point. Even on the Shillcast, we should do it. Considering we're going to be doing I don't. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it just me, but yeah, you know, we're going to be pivoting a bit more on the Shillcast. Can I say that, Bob? The question that hangs over the head of any responsible person that talks about the content we talk about. What the hell?
Call from dangerous.
Sorry, my Amazon product was making noises. What was I saying? Oh, the question should be in anybody's mind that makes content about this stuff is like, is what I'm doing more likely to benefit the people that I'm criticizing, or is it potentially like, basically, if an average person, like say somebody who's not familiar with the culture wars in terms of like fandom and Comicsgate and stuff, if they come across this video and they decide to watch it, are they more likely to hear what we're saying and go, oh, I'm going to go check those other guys out? That seems like that's good content over there. They're making good points. Or are you making substantive, cogent, you know, arguments to where like the first thing that they think is, whoa, wow, shit, the guys they're talking about, that's some shitty content over there. They believe dumb things. You know what I mean? Like, that's more or less the question in our minds all the time. And that's the responsible way to do it. And I don't know if you guys have really noticed, but the fandom stuff, like the anti-fandom thing, it's kind of not doing so hot. I mean, I know we've obviously been doing the Chudpocalypse stuff, and but it really is kind of Comicsgate is literally in the midst of a civil war that is the end of Comicsgate and Rippaverse. I mean, I don't mean to put too fine a point on it or like make a prediction that will be, you know, proven wrong in a few months or something, because I don't like doing that. I really don't. But I do believe that this is the beginning of the end, because there's no, and I've said that since before it happened. I couldn't wait for Eric and Ethan to finally fucking just accept that they cannot both coexist in the same space, you know, exploiting the same audience, and that they would have to do what they're doing now. And it's because of the Chudpocalypse that the Civil War even began, because their relevancy in the algorithm has diminished over months, the course of months, whether you're talking about Comicsgate or Phantom Menace, which are interlinked, because then you've also got, there's been blowback to the Phantom Menace because of the Comicsgate Civil War. So you've got Az, who obviously was a big part of Friday Night Tights, Phantom Menace shit, and he's chosen to kind of side with Eric July. They've got their show together, and he's over on that team, and he hasn't really been on Friday Night Tights much or at all. Somebody might be able to confirm that for me, like he used to be. So like there's blowback right there, because as the field that they graze in, meaning the demographic that they exploit, the audience has shrunk. The attention economy in which they exist has moved away from valuing attention on them a bit. That means that they have to fight harder to maintain views, to maintain clicks. And eventually in that kind of, whenever things going, when YouTube is just prioritizing chud content like it was a few years ago, like prioritizing it, everybody's living high on the hog. You know what I mean? Everybody, they can all be friends. They can all go on each other's shows. They can like, hey, buddy, we're buddies. Everything's great. Nothing to worry about. But as that fucking, that pile of shit that they're all fucking, existing on shrinks and withers up, dries up, they have to look at each other and go, wait, this fucking guy, he's on my piece of the shit. You know what I mean? Like he's, I'm not using the best metaphors here because I'm kind of tired, but you get what I'm saying. Like they have to see each other more as competition, and that's what's happening. I don't see how. I've been saying for a couple of years, Perp and I and several other people actually did a stream a couple of years ago where we eulogized Comicsgate, not because Comicsgate is just gone, but in terms of something that could possibly be a movement that has any effect that can continue growing, it can't. It can't. It just can't. If you're into comics at all, you know what Comicsgate is, and you either are cool with it, part of it, support it, or you know what it is, and you know it's a fucking hate group and a scam. There's not enough new people getting into comics on a regular basis to like grow that. Sure, there's going to be people that are going to decide to be Comicsgate here and there and whatnot, but like that period, that window of time, the couple of years when so many people were looking for something like that, and then they found it in Comicsgate, it's gone. And now Comicsgate is essentially just Ethan Van Sciver's and who he allows to call themselves Comicsgate. Presuming that they don't get bigger than him, they don't get more popular than him, make more money than him, then it's a problem. So that's it. They got so many books that are overdue. It's just they're known for that at this point. And then Rippaverse has already, seen diminishing returns book by book. 3 books they've put out. Each one has gotten half of the sales of the one prior. It's not a sustainable thing. So, and now that they're fighting each other, that means that the audience, which is by and large the same audience, they're having to choose sides. You got a lot of people right now that are like, either I'm team Rippaverse or I'm team fucking Comicsgate. But then what I've seen a lot of actually is people just throwing their hands up in the air and going, I'm fucking done with this shit. I used to support Comicsgate. I've got several screenshots of comments like this, tweets and stuff, where they're just like, man, I'm just tired of this shit. It doesn't do anything. It's pointless. These guys are just like fighting over who gets to make money or whatever. And it's like, even the people who still generally agree with the politics of Comicsgate are tired of the mechanics of Comicsgate, the dynamics of Comicsgate. So as that shit goes away, it becomes more and more irresponsible for the initiative to just look every week, for something to talk about with chuds. We will always address the things that are, relevant and immediate and harmful and stuff like that. But yeah, something's got to change, I think. So we're going to be looking into that and talking about it. Do you? I mean, where are these new chuds coming from, though? You know what I mean? Like Trump kind of has a similar problem to Comicsgate and stuff. Is like his brand is cemented. You know, before he won the presidency, there was room for people to, you know, kind of have their own rationalizations for, oh, he's not that bad and stuff like that. And then just as time went on, those people had to confront whether or not they were actually cool with what he was doing and saying and stuff. And I know that there are plenty of people who were Trump supporters who are no longer Trump supporters because they got to a point when they realized, oh, he's actually, you know, yeah, I used to think he just spoke from, you know, spoke his mind and blah, blah, blah. But like, he doesn't, yeah, I'll have to do some more thinking about it. Maybe some writing, who knows? And maybe we'll do a video about it. Who knows? Exactly. Trump needs people other than just Republicans. That's true. But yeah, Bob with the old ways. I am curious where you think these new chuds are going to come from. It's incredibly unlikely that people who have very deeply, you know, rooted progressive values are going to just abandon those and then go in the way of Trump. Like that doesn't happen very often. You've got people who have, you know, kind of signaled progressive values and then they'll kind of give up on that whenever they realize they can make more money or they're more accepted. You know, like your Musks, right? Like Musk had no deeply held views on policy or you know, social issues or anything like that, but he used to kind of like, you know, cater to the left a little bit, or at least the liberals, where he seemed like he was a liberal guy. But as soon as it became clear that like the left in particular was not going to ever accept a fucking billionaire, you know, apartheid beneficiary, that's when he started kind of grifting to the right. Did you? I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, it's just going to be more mindful with, you know, and of course we're going to do things our own ways on our own channels. That's for sure. Like, even if chuds by and large, like this fandom toxicity kind of like just went away for the most part, there's going to be grifters, right? And I don't like grifters. Politics aside, I don't fucking like grifters. People who say one thing and they sell things based on a lie, especially when it's in my fucking house of comic books. All right. It's kind of just I guess coincidence that the grifting, which I don't like grifting on its own, also involves politics that I vehemently don't like. You know, I saw a video from Jesse Grant recently. I've got a video, Beef Waterfall, on what chud means, what I mean when I say it anyway. But yeah, it's just generally somebody who's yeah, right-wing culture war tourist. Somebody who calls everything woke and therefore bad, and then calls, you know, and then what woke means is just this ever changing, shifting goalpost of usually focused on marginalized, vulnerable populations of people. So yeah, anything trying to express or represent something that's not a cis, straight, white male, that's all woke, and then that's all bad. That's ruining everything. Blah blah blah. That's a chud. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even let's say Biden wins and like whatever, and then the chud content kind of like isn't as popular or whatever. There's always going to be the threat that shit will reemerge. So there's going to be need to. We don't want to just push back at this stuff only once it shows up, right? Like, God, how awesome would it have been if there had been some creators making content in, you know, favor of social progress, but doing it like really effectively instead of like some of those early SJW YouTubers or whatever were doing. True. All right. I got nothing else, guys. got nothing else and nowhere to go. Nothing but some bullshit here. Gotta go. So okay, look, so first of all, there's no reason to call them schizophrenics because it's not necessarily the case. Like, you can believe in insane shit and not be schizophrenic. That's actually a medical diagnosis. Second of all, what were they right about Epstein? Because the shit about Epstein has been known since like 2010s or before. There's been, like, it's not new what Epstein was up to, that people knew about that, right? You're going to need to be more specific. You're kind of just alluding to some vague fucking thing and saying that the QAnon, because they were right about one thing. Look, do you know the breadth, the range of shit that QAnoners believe? It's a massive amount of bullshit. Like, there's QAnon people that disagree with other QAnon people about whether JFK Jr. is going to come back to life and become president or whatever the fuck, right? So, like, your statement means nothing. I feel like you're just trying to say something against, I don't know, the left or something, and it just comes off like a lot of you guys' comments come off like you're just saying shit, man. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, just because Epstein was a fucking child molesting fucking piece of shit and doesn't mean anything to what we're talking about. Yeah. Thank you, Chariot. God, you're still here, Chariot, because my brain has crapped out in the last 20 minutes. Now I'm embarrassed because you're watching. Yeah, that's true. Why doesn't Q care about the Catholic Church? He never talks about that. And this, exactly. Exactly. I don't know if Organized Chaos is gonna be back on next week or whatever, but whenever you're back on, Bob, we should have Chariot on. Whenever you're available, Chariot. So let's organize them shits. And it's much appreciated. Truly is. I think your video was the first time I ever saw someone say positive things about my content on YouTube. Somebody that wasn't like a friend or whatever. So that was cool. All right. Just looking for something to end the stream on here. Oh, yeah.
This movie's going to be awful. This movie's going to be awful. None of these people have written anything good.
There's that.
Wow, that looked like it really hurt.
Looks like a fun game, right? I kind of want to play that. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, same. Like, Red Letter Media, I'm glad they're out there because I really disagree, especially with their Star Trek takes and stuff. Like, I think they're pretty shitty about that. But that's fine. You know, the Red Letter Media I use is like the proof of like no chud that's in my comment section. I don't just hate everybody I disagree with. I hate people that have stupid, uninformed fucking opinions. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that the Origin of Red Hood game though. Can't wait to play that. Also, has everybody seen this thing?
I'll eat your ass. I will. That's why I want the globe to know. I will eat your ass first. I will eat your ass. Ah! Ah!
All right, that's all I got. Seriously, that's it. And then this, and I'm going to be out of here. So you guys have a lovely remainder of your week. Think I'll probably see you Friday. Got a stream I'll do then. And hopefully I'll be rested by then and whatnot. And take care of yourselves, one another, your mothers. How's your mother? And peace.
This video is brought to you by Ripadoose. How can I be a white nationalist if I wear Ripadoose? Checkmate, Grimmer! Hey man, something's got to pay the bills around here. You guys consider supporting me on Patreon so that I don't have to do this type of gig anymore? Ripadoose Griftwear, the only clothing line that's DMCA protected. Dress like a goddamn brick. Ripadoose!